Today, you're going to watch me speedrun building a landing page from complete scratch. I'm going to be rebuilding a landing page for my friend's virtual therapy business, and then we're going to actually split test it against his current funnel and current landing page with real ad spend to see which one brings in more qualified leads. So here's the situation. My friend Burhan is currently spending around $700 to $1,000 a day on meta ads. His current funnel and current page converts okay, but I know that we can do way better. And we're not just doing this for the video. We're actually testing this with real money on the line with a real business, and you're going to see the entire process unfold. I'm going to show you everything from researching his audience to crafting new headlines to designing the entire layout and showing you how to design everything and actually writing direct response copy that speaks directly to people who are searching for therapy. You'll see every tool I use, every decision I make, and how exactly I structure a landing page built specifically to convert cold paid traffic. And at the very end, we're going to actually review the full results from the ad campaign to see if the new page and the new funnel crushes the old one. By the end of this video, there should be absolutely no reason why you cannot build a landing page that converts like crazy, because you're literally watching a real life case study unfold from start to finish. So let's stop wasting time and jump straight into it. I put together this little checklist of items here for this video. It's actually kind of funny because this is the process that we actually follow when we're building landing pages for clients. So you're kind of literally seeing like my real life process that we take. But step one is simply just understanding the baseline metrics and KPIs, right? So always try to understand what's the starting point, what's the main goals, and what's kind of the bottlenecks right now as far as our marketing is concerned and as far as our funnel is concerned as well. Quick overview of the business. So it's a virtual therapy clinic, right? Fully virtual, and they service locally for now. The goal is to eventually expand to more areas nationwide, right? So the primary traffic source is meta ads. And right now they're sending all of this traffic here to this quiz funnel. And I'm not a big fan of quiz funnels. You'll discover why a bit later on, but quiz funnels just tend to lead to very low quality leads and, unqualified leads because people just fill out these quizzes without really knowing what they're filling out. Like they're not expecting to be sold to, right? When they're filling out a quiz. And a lot of people don't even remember what they were filling out in the first place. They fill out this quiz, somebody contacts them and they're like, I don't know why I'm being sold to, right? So that's kind of the issue with the quiz funnel. So right now his ad spend is hovering between 700 to 1,000 per day. I actually have access to his ad account here. So this is kind of like the last 4 months or so. So November to, end of Feb. And you can see over here, so right now he's kind of in that $700 per day. He was spending $1,000, but what he was experiencing, like many other people I speak to, was he kind of hit a wall, right? Where the quality of leads was not good anymore, the conversion rate was not as high, and that's usually a byproduct of the funnel not being fully optimized. You can see here that these are all the different ad campaigns, and he's kind of allocated spend to many different ones. Results here is basically people filling out the quiz, right? So 1,400 quiz submissions, and this prospecting campaign is 68. And right now the cost per lead across both of these two different campaigns, this one is $33 and this one is $47, right? The conversion rate on the actual quiz funnel, I got this number from him, is 6.8%. Now, the main issue and the main pain point that what he explained to me was that there's a lot of spam submissions and a lot of unqualified leads coming through the funnel right now. And this is actually a really good lesson for anyone watching, is that when you see the 6.8% in the quiz funnel, in your mind, you might be thinking, okay, that's like a pretty solid conversion rate, right? I'd be happy with 6.8%. The issue is, and I talk about this extensively in my videos, is that conversion rate is just arbitrary, right? 6.8% sounds great on paper, but the issue is that so many of those leads are, no shows, they don't pick up their phone, they're spam submissions, they're unqualified leads. So there's a lot of junk coming through in the funnel, right? And what we really care about at the end of the day is revenue and quality of leads. When you look at this $32 to $50 CPL and you see the 6.8%, you're not really looking at the full picture. Very, very important to understand that. So the main pain point is that quality of leads is low, right? Inability to close is high because the quality is so bad. And, people think it's just a quiz. They're not expecting to be sold to. And when his sales team, when Burhan's sales team is calling these prospects, they don't even understand, they don't even remember that they filled out the quiz, right? This is a big issue with quiz funnels, and this is a big issue with lead forms as well. So many people fill out lead forms and it's just really bad quality. So funny enough, he actually used to send traffic to an old landing page, which we had previously built, which if you've seen my videos, you've probably seen me use this as a case study and, explain like different A/B tests that we've ran for this. And, this page actually used to convert really, really high. We've done different variations of this page. So, it might not be accessible, but we've done a lot of A/B tests for this, right? Now, it converted high. He got a lot of high quality leads, but the issue is that the reason he has now focused on the quiz funnel is because his offer has kind of changed since we've last worked on the page and done a bunch of tests, right? He's very heavily shifted now towards individual therapy, right? With the focus on relationships, anxiety, depression, feeling overwhelmed. So the offer has kind of changed, right? Where before they used to focus more broadly on multiple different modalities, like they did family therapy, kids, EMDR, CBT, etc. So in his mind, he thought a quiz would help people, share their feelings and lead to better quality, but quality has been really bad. And my bet to him was that let's go back to the dedicated page because I think it's going to get him the quality that he wants because therapy is such an emotional thing that like we can really dial in the copywriting, filter out people, and just have a way higher intent rather than like a low effort quiz or lead forms, which in my opinion are the worst. So I just wanted to give you that context there. Now, this is actually the internal SOP that my team and I use whenever we're building a page. So the first step is you have the client fill out an onboarding form, right? Basically, this is the onboarding form. There's like 8 to 10 different questions, and I have already put them inside of this Google Docs here, kind of just formatted them a little bit because I had him fill this out, just bolded a couple things that I thought was interesting. And we're going to basically now kind of prepare questions in advance to conduct over a 1 hour call with him, right? And basically, this is so important because we're kind of getting information from him and then we're probing deeper. We're kind of challenging his pre-existing notions. This will really, really help us with writing the copy for the page, right? I want to understand in depth the awareness level of the customer. I want to understand, what triggers someone to reach out. I want to understand the status quo. And then I want to understand the level of customer avatar in depth. So my discovery call with him is in about 15 minutes from now. So I'm going to get ready for that. And then I'm going to report back once the recording is done processing. Okay, perfect. So I just finished conducting the discovery call with Burhan and a lot of great insights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewatch the recording and start taking notes by hand. I know you can use AI for this nowadays, but I personally just don't like using AI for note taking, particularly when it comes to the discovery call, because the discovery call is so insightful and it's very hard for AI to pick up on tonality and specific things. And I like to use the discovery call as the whole basis and foundation for when I'm going to write the copy for the page. And so that's why taking really good notes helps a lot when you're writing the copy. I always like to say that the better the notes, the better the copywriting as well. Now we have the split screen here. So I have the recording on the right-hand side, and we're going to start taking notes in this document here. And then we're going to extract, the most important insights and then use that as a foundation for copywriting. So without further ado, let's put in my headphones here and give this a listen. Okay. So the main thing I want to understand is number one, like the target demographic. What's the split between male versus female clients right now?
Closer to 55-45 or 60-40. It's pretty even, but we prefer the female clients, if we're being fully honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for the use, like what is typically when somebody comes to you, have they already tried therapy? Like what percentage of customers, if you were to guess, have already tried therapy and are looking to switch over to you versus trying therapy for the first time?
No, people don't switch. It's more like I've tried it many times over the past 5 years, and I'd say it's a higher percentage than we expected, or like 35-40% of people have been to therapy before.
35 to 45% have already been.
Let's say 35 have been before.
Okay.
Yeah, 40 might be overshooting, but yeah.
35% have been before, and then the rest this is their first time.
First time. We got so many first timers.
Really interesting piece of insight right there is that, 35% of people have been to therapy before, right? And then the rest, 65% are first time, new to therapy, right? And the reason I love asking this question is because it's going to completely shift how we kind of position the page, right? Somebody who's completely new to therapy, will have different pain points, different goals, different motivations than somebody who has been to therapy before, where they're more in a, comparison mindset where they've presumably had a bad experience with a therapist and now they're looking to move over to a new therapist, right? So getting this context here is always really helpful because it's going to completely shift how we position the page. Although we still want to cater towards both audiences, we'll want to kind of position it more heavily towards that 65% who are first time new to therapy. Can you kind of walk me through like a typical sales conversation? So let's just take the new person first. Let's say I'm completely new to therapy. I fill out your quiz.
Then I say, have you been to therapy before? Right? Or will this be the first the time you're considering it? They'll say I have been or I haven't been. Regardless of if they say they haven't been, I'll tell them the most important thing to look out for is how strong of a connection that you have with the therapist. And if you feel comfortable sharing things with them, I'll tell them that like we all have our own insecurities. And so when you don't feel the need to hide anything, that's how you know it's a good fit. We have the numbers for what percentage of people come for different reasons. So it's like stress and anxiety is the number one. So stressed and overwhelmed is number one. Number two is relationships. Okay, number 3 and 4 are anxiety and depression. Everything else, then there's a drop off after that.
Okay, so with the first demographic, what specifically is the most common thing that they're stressed about?
Usually related to relationships. It's like I'm stressed because it's not work stress usually.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is super gold, right? The number one reason people come to us is stress and overwhelmed, right? The number 2 is relationships, and number 3 and number 4 is anxiety and depression. So this is going to be really, really critical for the pain point section on the page, where we're basically trying to, meet people where they are emotionally and call out all of the things that they're struggling with, right? But now that we have this context, we can really be specific and call this out in the pain point section. The other thing that was interesting was he said the number one question they ask is, has it been getting worse? And people always say it's been getting worse. So this is going to be really important for, like, my brain's already working for the agitation portion, right? When we have the pain point section on the page, we do problem, agitate, solve. So we list out the problem. Are you struggling with stress and feeling overwhelmed, dealing with relationship issues, dealing with anxiety, depression? Then we agitate the problem. So we basically turn up the heat and make them feel the problem, right? So we could literally say something like, you feel like your issue is getting worse and worse every day. It's affecting all these different things, right? So my brain's already working, and this is gold. So I want to dig a bit deeper. So the relationship part, you said that it's specifically like even within relationships, you have family, and then you have like your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it may be,
Yeah,
um,
most commonly partner related,
partner
and
related.
then sometimes family.
Yeah,
But even when there's family, there's still partner.
still
There's
partner.
still
Okay,
partner. It's like
so
very rare that someone doesn't have partner problems.
doesn't have partner problems. So like within the partner problems itself, can you kind of walk me through like a couple examples of like
Yeah,
what? Yeah,
we fight all the time. I don't know why she's doing or he or she is doing XYZ. We're on and off. She's not understanding me or he or she doesn't understand anymore. They're not supporting me. That's a big one.
is it safe to assume that most people who contact you or end up engaging and becoming a client, is it out of a place of like something triggered them to reach out, like an event took place, or is it more of a proactive endeavor? Like they want
Not
to, yeah,
not proactive whatsoever. It's more
okay.
so the best way of describing it is they're open to the idea of therapy. They might have even been thinking about it at some point themselves, but they
Mhm.
came across the ad on Facebook and thought it was a quiz. And so then when they get a call, they're like, "Hey, no time like the present," because so they're more like they're not really even given a choice to think because they get the consult right away. The reason we get a lot of relationship people is that a lot of our ads are relationship focused.
Focused.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. A couple things there. The first part was he actually called it a couple quotes. And the reason I asked this question is I'm very intentional with my questions. I wanted to see what are people commonly saying, right? So he said, we fight all the time. I don't know why he or she is doing XYZ. We're on and off. She's not understanding me. All of these different things, right? And again, my brain is working here where I think like as part of the pain point section, we can call out all of these different things, right? So it's like, are you fighting all the time with your significant other, right? Are you on and off? Do you feel like here your partner doesn't listen, right? Do you feel like you're not in control or confident about your relationship, right? And so we're gonna call out all these different things in the pain point section. The interesting thing that he said as well is that, like he said, we're more pain focused and interruption based, right? Like somebody's on an ad, their advertisement material is focused on like these funny quotes like dating someone you don't like, or these different quotes. In fact, let's actually take a look just quickly here. Very interesting. So like, are you dating a narcissist, dating someone you don't even like, need someone to talk to? Yeah, that's interesting. So that pain point driven messaging, we want to make sure the landing page is congruent with that, right? One big thing about making high converting pages is ensuring that your landing page is congruent with whatever got the click. So what do they typically do to try and solve the problem? Like what is typically the status quo in terms of things that they've tried to fix the issue?
the status quo is they're unsuccessful in trying anything because
Mhm.
most people that come to us are not triers. They are because they're very busy, right? So they mean to work. They're procrastinators is the best way of putting it. So they mean to work on the problem, but it's resulting in constant fighting is or a breakup or separation already having happened are some of the most common states.
Okay, so you said things that they try. You're saying mostly like they are unsuccessful in trying different things, probably hence why they're looking for like therapy, right?
Exactly. The other thing is most people who've tried a previous therapist, because 35% of them have been very unhappy
Hmm.
because they felt like they didn't connect.
A lot of great value props here. First thing he said was that people have been meaning to go to couples counseling, right? So this is again going to be part of our pain point section. I'm already kind of brainstorming and imagining where we're going to specifically call out like you've been meaning to do this for a long time, but you haven't, right? And you've been delaying this, right? Because he said they're procrastinators, so you've been delaying this. You've been meaning to go, and every single day that you don't go is affecting all these different areas of your life, right? So that's like agitating the problem. The second thing was the 35% of people who have been to a therapist have been unhappy and unimpressed with the quality of their therapist, and they didn't feel like they connected. So this is going to be like a value prop on our page where we want to cater towards both the first timers, but also the people that are coming from another therapist. And specificity is super important in copywriting, where we want to call this out. Like we want to literally say, you may have had a bad therapy experience before because you felt like you couldn't connect, right? This is super important. Maybe you felt like that person didn't get you. It felt like they didn't help with the problem. But we get the match right the first time. So now this is like switching over to the value prop where you don't have to switch. And he said that we've had very few people ever be unhappy with their therapist.
The number one service we offer is just a human being sitting there listening to you. And then if they say smart things on top of that, that's an added bonus. So,
Mm.
but for the vast majority of people, they just have no one to talk to. Feeling like we actually care about you is a big, because most people don't have that whatsoever in their life, especially if they're having a trouble with a relationship. Uh,
Mm.
or anxiety and depression, and people are asking them like, "Hey, why are you so lazy?" etc. It's nice. Well, it's nice to know like, "Hey, there's someone who's just completely on your side, who's going to help you through this and listen to you in a nice, warm, caring presence."
Right. That's huge. I mean, my brain's already firing. Like, I think this is gonna hands down be like the main value prop that we're gonna have as even like the hero section. I think in the headline, because typically in the headline of the hero section, you want to lead with the biggest benefit. So this is why I love rewatching recordings, because like I can get a feeling of what's the biggest value proposition based on tonality, based on like how clients kind of communicate stuff. And he said the biggest thing, if there's only one thing we offered, right, is listening to you and saying nothing, people would still want to do it. Most people have no outlet and no one to talk to without feeling judged. That's massive, right? So like just brainstorming here, like even the headline of the page could be, finally like somebody who listens to you, right? Finally somebody who, is there to listen to you and supports you or understands you, I think is kind of the gist of what I'm getting over here. And feeling like somebody actually cares is a big deal, right? Most people don't have that in life. So again, more pain point driven copy that we can put in the problem section of the page, or the pain point section. What typically triggers them to reach out, like for the people that have already
Yeah.
tried therapy
Good,
before, and what are the
good
frustrations
question.
with other therapists? Yeah.
They've been meaning to reach out for a while to
Mhm.
somebody, but never have got around to it. They don't know which therapist they're going to get when they're on the call with us. So them hearing that we're warm and caring on the phone and the setup call is kind of what sells them on just going with a therapist. We connect them anyway. And our whole value thing is like especially to these people, is this will be different than your last therapy experience. So like everything we frame is like not we will help you. It's like see if we can help you.
Yeah.
That's kind of and that really attracts people because they're like, oh, this feels, especially people who've been to therapy before, because like, oh, this feels a little bit different. They're not like they don't even know if they can help me. Amazing, let's
Right.
find out.
What we're trying to do with the landing page is kind of treating it like a salesperson, right? That's like the mindset I like to operate under. So whatever his team is doing on the sales side, where it's saying like, people are not starting on good terms, I think that's often the nature of the industry. Of course, like people are dealing with severe issues in their life, but I also think it's a byproduct of the quiz funnel, because like they just filled out a quiz and they're just getting a call from someone who's like asking them about their life. It doesn't start on a good term, right? That's where like I love the landing page based approach more so than quiz funnel, more so than lead forms, more so than any other form. Because if people feel understood, they feel supported on the page, and they resonate with that language, they are going to be a lot more warmer and a lot more warmed up to somebody then calling them, as opposed to if they're just filling out something and they're not expecting to be sold to. People that are coming from another therapist, is that like in person? Like what percentage are doing
Most
virtual therapy for the first time?
That's a good question. Most are doing virtual for the first time because virtual exploded post COVID.
When we create the page, this is going to be an entire value prop where we're going to talk all about the virtual aspect, how, people don't have to commute, they can do it late in the evening, all of the different, sub points in relation to virtual therapy. This is going to be a value prop on the page. How do you hire people, make sure they're the right
Yeah.
fit for your company, like the culture? And then number two, how do you match people with the correct therapist as well?
Yeah, good question. So we hire people who can connect with anyone.
Yeah.
So they're very, very important. Number two, most clinics will hire tons of clinicians who don't actually work there. Like they work there for like a couple hours a week. Our clinicians actually work for us. Like most of them work exclusively for us. Right? Like which means that we can train them the way we want. We do things in a very specific way behind the scenes for like just efficiency and client care, etc. It's just really important for people to right away, within the first few seconds of the call, you will just feel like you're in the right place now.
Yeah.
So so some are energetic, some aren't, but they'll get you very quickly. Like
It,
you know
it
how
comes down to connecting with people, right? Like fundamentally, they're good at connecting with people. Yeah. So it's like in order to believe it, you have to go through with that first free session, right? Like that's where
exactly.
you'll see the value, and then from there, people convert. But
Yeah, from there we
yeah,
have no problem. It's just about getting people to that spot.
I mean, this is the most common issue amongst like majority of businesses I speak with, is they always say it's always about getting people on that first call. Once people are on the phone, like your sales process will kind of carry stuff forward. And especially for something like this, where you can say, what he's saying is like, once we get people on that first free consultation, we can convert them very easily. But the issue is getting people to that first free consultation. Now, the thing that helps people get on that first consultation, what do you think that is? That is the landing page, right? And that is why, again, when we create the page, we're going to really speak to people. We're going to list out all the value propositions and really make, give them a compelling reason to actually jump on that first free consultation in the first place, right? That is always the goal, is to get people in the door. And this is why like I said before, you want to treat your page like it's a salesperson, right? You want to sell your value props. You want to communicate the emotional aspect and meet people where they are. And that is going to solve that issue of getting people through the first free session, right? And then from there, it's like clockwork, right? People just convert thereafter. Out of 30 candidates, you only accept
We'll
like
hire
X
one.
amount. Yeah.
Yeah, or even like you can say we only hire like 1 out of 50. It's actually true.
Yeah.
We interview a lot.
Yeah.
We hire less than 2% of everybody who we talk to.
Matching process, just very quickly here, a lot of good stuff. We're going to want to have a separate value prop on the page for the matching process, and then we're also going to have a separate value prop for the hiring process, right? Because these are two distinct things right now as it stands. So yeah, we're going to have separate sections for these and really explaining all of this in depth, right? Because this is all important. And this goes back to, again, how do we get people to that first free session? It's by explaining how do we match them. It's by explaining how do we hire people. The other thing he said was 98% of people are happy with their first match. This right here is probably going to be one of our stats on the page that we're going to feature as social proof, right? To build trust and credibility.
I'd say like maybe the best way to summarize everything we do is like, you'll get someone who really cares and who's really trying to understand you, who will listen to you. And then that person will customize to you, try to help you find solutions for your problem, give you homework in between, etc., to help you feel better and improve your situation. And then we'll check in on you to make sure your situation is actually improving and you're getting what you want out of this. So the overall goal is you get this like very caring team on your side and helping you deal with whatever problems you're facing in life.
Got it. Again, this is going to be probably for a headline, right? So it's kind of the end-to-end aspect of, we're not just going to listen to you and help you solve your problem, but we're even going to check in with you, right? That's a very compelling value prop. Now the hard part is, putting this into words and putting this into one headline, right? Encapsulating this in one headline. But fundamentally, this is what we're trying to communicate, right? Outside of that, can you think of any other additional value props outside of these ones here?
Insurance is pretty simple with us. Like we can direct bill for many companies, but I don't want to promise that because we can't for others. But the more important thing is like you will never feel alone in this process. So like we'll literally call and help you like before your first session, like help you set up the video.
Guide you through the whole process.
Like exactly. Or if you have to file your claim, we'll help you with that. Another thing we do, I think this might be a little bit special, but not worth mentioning, is we reply to everything in under like 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh no, that definitely is a big value prop. Yeah, yeah.
Because most clinics they either don't reply or it takes like 3 days for anything to come through. Like, yeah, you send us, you can also text us, call us, email us, and again, like in 10 to 15 minutes, you'll get a reply.
If you saw what I did there, so he said this is not a value prop, right? Like this might not make a special where we reply to everything in 10 to 15 minutes because the status quo is that most people take 3 days. And then I immediately challenged him. I said, no, this is definitely a value prop. We've used this so many times, especially in the home service space. Like we work with a lot of home service companies or contractors where it is notorious in the industry for people to not get back to you, people to ghost you, people to take forever to get a quote, forever to call you. And it's such a big issue that literally under the call to action button on the landing page, we will say, get a response in less than 5 minutes, get a response in less than 10, 15 minutes, right? We'll actually call that out. So you have to think like, again, that just because it might not be special to you, like using Burhan's words, it might not be special to you. The bar is so low in landing pages where most people don't even do the basics. And I see this because I audit pages every single day, right? So we definitely want to call this out and we're probably going to put this under the call to action button. Finally, I want to talk through the objections. So
the main objection, bro, is money. It's just money. The occasional person will be like, I want in person. It is what it is. Like I'll tell them.
You'll never get an objection around what if you don't get the right therapist, or how do I know? Because the free part solves that, I guess, right?
The consult, because the way we frame it is like, hey, we don't even know if we can help you, so we're not even trying to sell them. Okay, like try it out, see if it feels like a good fit. Maybe around like timing, like I'm busy. As in, sometimes people will be like, hey, I don't feel like I'm ready for therapy right now. We'll tell them, hey, like you don't have to be ready for therapy. Just see, because talk to a therapist, see how you feel connecting with them. And then if now doesn't feel like the right time, at least you found your therapist.
To summarize what he said, I mean, this is, very accurate. Like if people feel like we understand their problem, they automatically feel like we can help them, right? We ask questions that they've not heard before. We dig deep into their pain point. And he said sales calls go quite well. Getting people to the sales page to get their information, that's the hard part. Like getting people to book a consult, which if we kind of take this, right? If people feel like we understand them, they automatically feel like we can help them. You're almost like taking your whole sales call experience and trying to communicate that and bring that onto the page. Again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's so important. Like everything that you have on your sales call where you understand them, you ask the right questions, you dig deep into the pain point, we want to replicate that exact experience on the page. Because if we're able to do that, just like a sales call, when you understand someone's problem, you don't just jump straight into the solution, you understand their problem, you have a much higher propensity to then close them. The exact same thing happens with your landing page. When you understand them, you speak to what people care about, you give them value props, you reduce the fear and uncertainty around buying, they have a much higher propensity to then fill out the form and convert, right? Or contact you via phone and convert, right? So a lot of this stuff is smoke screens as well. Like when I asked about objections, he said price and money, timing and busy. That's always smoke screens. Even I called it out, right? Like I even said, we don't want to talk about price or money too much because literally every industry, every business I speak with, price and money is always an objection. The real objection is all this stuff underneath that, right? It's like if somebody doesn't see see a clear path towards you helping them solve the problem, they're not going to convert. If they do see that clear path, unless they just flat out can't afford it, if they do see that clear path, then they will convert. It doesn't matter about the money. If they feel like it's worth their time, worth their investment, they will do it. So we have to make it feel like it's worth it on the page. One final question for the objection side is, what would you say in your definition makes a good therapist versus a bad therapist?
A bad therapist listens. A good therapist tries to help your specific problem.
This is another component we're going to add to the headline. So like just brainstorming out loud. So it's like not somebody who just listens and, understands you, but somebody who helps you move forward in life, somebody who helps you fix your problem, right? Like out of all the stuff he's saying, I just like to bold and really take down the most important stuff that I can tell based on tonality, based on what he's saying out loud. And then that's going to really be like our headline for the hero section, which is the most important aspect of the page. What would you say is the main goal? Like, would it be this, get direction in life and feel more in control? Like they're looking for somebody, are they genuinely looking for direction or like accountability, or are they just looking for someone to talk to most?
They want to feel better.
Yeah.
And not have to deal with it alone, I think. So, and that's what talking to someone gives you.
Yeah, they just want to get out of their situation, basically, right?
Exactly. They're short term. Right now, they're focused on the short term. They're not like, hey, I want the perfect life, whatever. They're like, I wish somebody would listen and, give me some advice.
Awesome. Branding side, think through this a little bit. How would you describe your company in 3 words? 3 separate words.
Yeah, a little bit rebellious. We're really funny. Even on calls, like we'll make people laugh. We're really caring, and we're really smart, like in terms of like helping you solve the problem.
Okay, perfect. So now that we have all of the notes that we took from the discovery call, we're going to move on to step number 5 on our list, which is we're basically going to write out a content outline, right, for our landing page framework. And, the reason we write a content outline, more specifically, we're writing copy for our landing page, is because a lot of agencies and a lot of business owners and businesses in general, they do the design first instead of the copy first. We do things very differently, where we start with the copy or the offer, and only once we finalize that, then we create the design around the copy or offer. The reason why is because we typically find that results in a much better end product, a much higher converting landing page as well. So that is why we always start with the copy or offer first, and then we build a design around the copy or offer, right? So in order to do this, we're going to use our high converting Figma template framework. So I created a Figma file here, and this is the template framework. I'll actually put a link in the description below to get access to this, but this is basically the framework that we follow whenever we're building any sort of landing page. So what we're going to do is take all of the notes that we wrote. I'm going to basically start like grouping this into categories. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, perfect. So what I did was I basically took all of the notes. I've added them in from the onboarding session, like the client's form submissions, and I put it together in this document. I've just kind of expanded on a bunch of stuff here based on the notes that I've taken. Now we move on to step number 6, right? Which is basically once we have the content outline, now we can start mapping out the design of our page, right? And again, we're going to use that high converting Figma framework with the link in the description below. So first things first, you're going to want to create a fresh Figma file. And this is for my internal team for like our SOPs, but we have like this, central design repository, if you will. So I'll just pull this up here. So it's basically something like this. This is like our style guide. So we follow this for every project where we have like a certain header guideline, certain, paragraph font sizing and stuff. Sometimes it changes from client to client, but we usually have like a base that we do for any project. So I'm going to copy this over to our Figma file where we're going to be creating this new page. First, we need to come up with fonts, and then we also want to look at like color schemes, branding, etc. And then we're going to start the design phase. So, going by this list here with our SOP, we want to look for as many inspiration websites as possible. It doesn't have to be in our specific niche. It can also be somewhat related. So something in kind of like the therapy space doesn't have to be specific to virtual therapy or individual therapy, right? And the purpose behind doing this is just to get inspiration. We don't want to copy competitors, right? Just very important, like, because if everyone could convert at 15% just by copying someone, then everyone would do that. There's a reason that the entire world doesn't convert at 15%. So this is just for inspiration and to get ideas. So the way that I will do this is I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to basically say, I have a virtual therapy business, and I'm looking for high converting websites in the space. Make sure that the websites and landing pages are super high converting with strong messaging, strong copy, and great design, right? And then I'll just say here's some information about the company, just so that I can kind of pull based on what we're giving it. So I'm going to put the onboarding form responses in here and enter. So it's going to give me a list here. I'm going to just stop it because it's giving me the breakdown. I'm just going to say, give me the raw, just give me the links, right? Just give me the links. Okay, cool. So we have a bunch of links here. So let's start opening these up into a new tab. And what I'm going to do then is kind of go through each of these one by one and like very, very quickly just kind of see, you know, what stands out about them. What do I like? Just kind of pulling pieces of inspiration. The way that I do it is I just take screenshots and put them in Figma. So the first one here, Rula. So just going to kind of look through and see what stands out to me. I like this a lot. This is how it works. I'm going to put this in the Figma. It's kind of messy right now, but this is how I actually create pages. Look through here. Oh, this is cool. I like this as well. It's a nice way to show social proof. Okay, nothing else stands out here for this one. This is pretty cool. More than 17,000 Canadians have turned to Shift Collab to feel like themselves again. And they're actually like calling out the different things. I like this a lot, so I'm going to put this in our Figma. Let's go here to this next one. This is pretty cool. I like this a lot. Tell us what you're going through, get match. So this is again like how it works. So I'm going to take a screenshot here. Let's keep going. This is cool as well. The stats, I like the little branding and stuff. This is where we can like show our different stats as well. This one is okay. Nothing here that I like. This is cool as well, but we're probably going to have a form, I think. But this is good inspiration for like a quiz in the future potentially. But yeah, we're going to have a form starting out. Next reference site here. Oh, this is cool. 98% of two-chair clients find the right therapist in the first try. So this is actually like literally identical to what Burhan said as well in the onboarding call. So I'm going to take a screenshot here. It's a nice way to kind of display it. Oh yeah, this is cool. Okay, so like they're showing the actual therapist and they're showing the different modalities that they, or like the specialties rather, that they specialize in. So ADHD, anxiety, burnout. This is really cool. I think we could do this as well. So I'm going to put a screenshot here. And this is, by the way, this is like the benefit of inspiration gathering is because, again, because we wrote the content first in the copy, it makes your life way easier because now you're trying to reverse engineer, right? You're not trying to do the design first and then write the copy. Once you write the copy in the offer, now you're just trying to like find sections that fit within what you're trying to say, right? And that's why this is all like very systematized and this works really, really well. So yeah, we're going to take this here. Nothing else here is nice. Just website. More stats. This is pretty cool. I like this because one of the value props was insurance. So I think we can show that like using some design like that. This is pretty neat as well. Oh, this is cool. Yeah. So like, see, they're showing the pills here, like these little bubbles, very similar to two chairs over here. But the difference is that they also have this little quote, which I really like. And it looks like this quote is like from the therapist itself. I think that's really unique. So I'm going to put that in our Figma. What else is there? Nothing else here. Octave. See, again, similarity for the insurance. I like that quite a lot. I think we can do something like that too. Okay, I like this a lot. If you're dealing with, we'll guide you through. Kind of like showing if you deal with this, this is what we help you through. And if again, if you think about the value prop that Burhan mentioned, and I spoke to him on the call, was like, it's two-pronged, right? It's like the problem that people face and then also the solution and how we help them. And this is like a really unique way of showing this. So I'm going to copy this and bring it over here. I like this a lot. I think I'm going to take a screenshot of this. So basically, I mean, all in all, like we looked at maybe what, like 8 to 10 different references. And in that short time period, we pulled in all of this different inspiration, right? So the reason why this is important is, again, we just got a ton of inspiration. The thing is that we want to actually like map out the design now, right? Which is step 7. So basically we want to think of all the sections that we've come up with the content outline for over here, right? This is, let me actually just call this content outline so it's clear, but this is like our content outline. And we want to basically try and fit this now into each different section and come up with the best design for that particular piece of content, right? In other words, fitting the design around the copy or offer, not the other way around. So the way that we do it at our agency, because we've built like 400 plus landing pages and we've done so many of these now that we almost don't have to do that much inspiration gathering because we have like this massive repository of pages that we built and we have it inside of a Figma file. So this is the Figma file here. What I'm actually doing right now is I'm offering like the top 30 landing pages that we've built. So again, we built 400 plus, we do tons of A/B tests, and a lot of our clients, they get, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of visitors to their landing pages per month. And we're doing A/B tests for them every single month. So a lot of prospects I speak to are not at hundreds of thousands or millions of visitors. And so they're, you know, at lower traffic levels where they cannot necessarily do an A/B test. They don't have enough data. The benefit of this approach, like having this repository of landing pages is, you know, number one, it helps from a design perspective. Like now that we have so many of these, but like we can literally just pull designs from these and like be set because we have such a large repository. But it also helps us get high converting sections that we've already actually A/B tested and proven to work amongst our higher traffic clients. So we actually have an offer where we're selling our top 30 plus landing pages, where you can literally get access to the same Figma file that I'm showing here, where you can get the full Figma file, 30 plus of our highest converting landing pages that we've ever built to get more lead and sales, right? And if you go to this page here, you're going to see the breakdown. So we're offering like 7 clinic healthcare pages, 7 home service contractor pages, 8 e-commerce pages, 6 fitness pages, 7 education. So like if you're selling a course, high ticket, low ticket, and 4 B2B SaaS pages. You'll get access to both the desktop and mobile designs, and you'll see the exact copywriting we wrote as well, right? So this is a paid offer because, you know, this is literally some of our best work that we've done, and we're giving it away in a Figma file. So just go to this page here and you can purchase this and get instant access. But we're actually going to be using this for this video as well, because that's how we literally create landing pages. So what we're going to do is basically take our points. So we're going to go to our file here, Figma file, and I'm just going to quickly create the style guide before we do that. So we need to first come up with the font. So recommend some nice high touch fonts, or not even, just recommend some nice Google fonts, header and body that works well for this offer. I'm thinking something like thin, nice and thin visually, something that looks a bit elegant, premium, calm, therapeutic, kind of that sort of vibe. So let's see what it gives us here. Yeah, so Playfair display is pretty light. What about something like a newsreader? We use this for another client, so this comes to me top of mind. Okay, yeah, because yeah, newsreader is like a very thin font, if you guys don't know. So let me actually like put it into play here. Like this looks really nice. And then for body text here, I think let's try to do Lotto. So we're going to change all of this to Lotto. And now we're just going to create our style guide, right? So basically in Figma, we're going to copy this, and on the right hand side, we're going to get rid of all the existing ones, and we're going to copy this. We're going to click here, plus, and I'm going to just enter this in. So now, like, let's say there's a piece of text here, like for example, this text over here, I just click on the right and I click on H1 and it changes it to the new font, but also the new font size, right? So like we have pre-established font sizes that we use as like a baseline for any project. It just makes it way easier, right? And standardized. So I'm going to add in these ones. Now what we're going to do is we're basically going to start plugging in our points into each of the sections. So we're not going to write the copy right now. We're just planning out the layout, right? So these are my notes here, the content outline. I'm going to basically just like paste it in here, like on the side. I like to do it this way. Now what we're going to do is basically start plugging the stuff in, right? So we're going to start plugging in our points into each of the sections. Don't worry about the copy. We're just planning out the layout. Now, like I said, we're going to use our landing page framework. The first thing I'm going to look at is the hero section. Like what I'm thinking is it's like a therapy offer. There's 2 different directions I think it could work, right? The first direction I think it could go is like exactly how it's laid out here, where we have the text on the left and then we have like a full image on the right. However, what we did for education client here, where we had these photos of people, right? So I think what we can do is we can actually take this and use photos of the therapist above the fold, because, you know, it's a very emotional thing like therapy, and same with this, and images build a lot of emotion. And you know, I don't know why, but because I've done this, like this just feels like perfect for this section, right? So I'm actually going to put this here. So let me just put this off to the side, and we're going to start like slowly building out our page, right? So even let me just put the header here, like over here. We're going to start with desktop first, so 1440, and then bring this over here and do that. Okay, so now we have this first part. Now we're going to slowly build out the page. So we have this part here. We're going to have the therapist. And then what I'm thinking is we need to have a pain point section underneath. Like if we look at our framework, well, even before that, we need the social proof actually. So let's just assume for now we're going to have stats. So I'm actually going to go here and we'll put our stats, throw those in there. Just get rid of this empty space. So kind of building it together, right? And then we have the pain point section. Now, there's a couple ways to execute the pain point section. One way is very visual in nature, where you have like a before and after with photos. So this will work for like dental, for solar panel cleaning, for any sort of offer where it's like demonstrative. You can show before and after. But for our client, since it's very emotional driven and pain point driven, the old classic way of a sales letter is going to absolutely crush it here. So what we're going to do is we have a layout for our fitness client over here. We use this layout for another client. We're going to take this, copy this, and then bring this over here. So this is going to be our pain point section, right? And by the way, this is all part of that template of our highest converting pages. So this is going to crush, right? This is where we're going to do is like talk about the pain points, the agitating it, and then showing the solution. So that's for the pain point section. Then we have social proof here. So for the social proof section, my classic favorite is called the wall of love. It's basically where you show like a grid of all your reviews, like images, text, videos, etc., and you show it in a wall format. Thankfully, our client here has quite a few reviews that we can leverage from Google. So we're going to put that and just find a reference. So we're going to pull this section from our client and we're going to drag this in here. Okay. You can see how it really helps when you have a repository of sections. So social proof, good. Now for the value props, right? So I think the 2 big value props are going to be this one here, someone who actually cares about you and makes you feel heard. And then maybe the virtual aspect, or even the, I think actually the two big ones, I'm going to reorder this because the listening part is just as important as the someone who cares about you. So what I would do looking at this, I'm going to put one section for someone who cares about you and then one section for we're problem solvers. And so I'm going to basically throw that in. I think visually wise, we can just stick with the standard like value prop. So go to my template here. Let me find an example. Yeah, so something like this for what we did for our vasectomy client. So I'll take this section, throw it into Figma, and then duplicate this and then move this on the other side like that. So these are our two value props. Now I'm going to start slowly plugging in the content as well while I'm doing this. Technically, I could have done it earlier, but I'll just do it now. So let's just so we're not staring at like something we don't understand. So someone who actually cares, this is what I mean by like plugging in the content. So all I'm doing right now is I'm plugging in the content, right? Like that's my headline. This is not actually going to be my headline though. I'm just like mapping it out, if that makes sense. So for problem solvers, not listeners, we're going to put that here. Okay. And then for the pain point part, for the sake of demonstration, we're going to take our pain point copy this, and we're going to throw it in here. For now, we'll just keep this other stuff. This is from the previous client. We'll just keep it. For the hero section, we're going to want to put one of these. We're going to massage the copy later. So for now, I'm just going to take any one of the sentences and put it in here. And then we're good. We're good. So we have the value props. Now let's just think about what's next on our list. We have another social proof section. For this, I think we're going to use video reviews because the client has video reviews. So what I'm thinking is at the top, let's put Google reviews and put images because some clients provided images. Then we can also have video reviews, right? Because on our framework, we have multiple forms of social proof. So we also want to have multiple forms here as well. Let me find a video section. Found this example here from our dental client. I think this is going to work perfect. So I'll copy this, bring this over for like our video reviews. Now what's next on our list? So we have pain point, we have relationship, value props. Okay, we need one value prop around virtual therapy. So right now, so if we follow the framework, right, we have social proof. By the way, this framework is just rough, right? We don't have to follow it to a T, but it just helps kind of speed up the process. But like effectively your entire page is just going to be made up of value props, right? So we need to basically find a section for each value prop. So right now we need something for virtual therapy, right? Now for virtual therapy, I think we could have, because there's 4 different points here, right? Technically, there's like virtual therapy. You can do appointments on your own time, no commuting. There's you'll meet virtually on your schedule. Actually, we found a reference, right? I think we found a reference. Yeah, I really like this example from Charlie Health where they had like this visual here. I think I actually have a section for this. Let me see. Okay, cool. So I found this layout here from our fitness studio client. I think this is going to work perfect. So I'm going to copy this over because what we can do is we can have, and I'll actually move this up for now, virtual therapy. So this is going to be virtual therapy. Virtual therapy. Okay, virtual therapy, the virtual aspect. Okay, now we need one for hiring and we need one for matching. So for hiring, I think we could just use, like a simple grid layout, like a 4 block. Let me see. I think I have an example. Yeah, I think this could work perfect. This is for our horse coaching client. So I'm going to copy this, just like a 4 grid type of thing, and then throw it in here. So this will be for our, what was the value prop? Hiring. And we'll worry about the body text later. Right now, we're just mapping out the headlines and the structure of the page. So hiring is good. For matching, let's just put another image with text for matching for now. So just throw this here, call it matching process. I'll actually, yeah, the thing is like, there's going to be a lot to talk about for this. So this body text is not going to be enough. I think what we need here is like check marks. Okay, yeah, for this example, for this client, we have this check mark layout. So copy this because this will work a lot better for matching because then we can explain it more, right? Like it's more scannable. Like we can do check mark here, check mark here, check mark here, right? So matching is good. What else do we have on our list? So calling in and checking in with people. I'm going to just use that as like a normal value prop for now. Like one more like this. We're gonna have to clean this up because I don't like using too much of this image with text. It takes up a lot of space. But this one is like we call to check in. And then the final thing on our list, I think, was fast response time, in which we respond in less than 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, this technically can fit into here. It's not really its own value prop, so I think it could just be grouped in. But the one thing I just realized we're missing is insurance. I'm going to add that in instead because they accept insurance. So for that, it's just going to be like a logo section, which I think we have. Yep, found this example here. This is from our bookkeeping client. So I'm going to put this here. So this is going to be called insurance. Okay, insurance. So now we've covered all the value props, right? Everything from this list we've covered now in terms of finding a section for it. Now I think the only thing left is the ancillary section. So when you look at our template here, we have like a how it works. I think the reference website we found, this looks really, really nice, like the step 1 to 4. We have done this before for this prospect where we show like the steps. So I'll copy this and throw it in. which is going to work perfect, and probably just going to randomly throw it in for now. We're going to worry about layout and stuff later. You'll see how this all comes together. Like, it just looks very random right now, but it'll come together. Hiring process, matching, call in, check in. Okay, yeah, so how it works is covered. And final thing I think is just to close, FAQ and the closing section. So for FAQ, we can use this one here. This should suffice. Throw that in over here. And then the final thing is the closer section. I think we can just use this, to be honest with you. This is perfect. But I did really like that reference, which was, where did that guy go? This one. This was really cool, where we show step 1, step 2, step 3. So I'm just going to put it on the side for now because we want to do that. And then to close things off, we're going to have a footer. Just make this 1440. And I'm going to throw it in underneath here and just make this a different color so we remember this is footer. Okay, so now what we're going to do, right? So we put in all our headlines. Some are still placeholder right now, but it's okay. We're going to change it. So I'm slowly going to start now to put in the sections, right? If we go back to our list here, once we're happy with the layout, now we're going to start applying the styles, right, to the specific sections to ensure that headline and body styles carry over, right? And then we can focus on nailing down the color scheme. We're going to do this in tandem. So for the color scheme, you know, some clients have a preset brand kit. In the case of this prospect, like they just want to keep their branding the same. They don't want to change it. But typically, you know, for some clients, we'll experiment with different colors, which I recommend you do as well. And you typically want to use a max of 3 colors, like 1 dark and 2 lights. And we're also going to start plugging in images just so that, like, you know, it's easier to look at, right? I'm not just looking at like random photos in different niches. So the color scheme we're dealing with is this color scheme here on the site. So I'm just going to copy it over and we're going to throw it in on the side and just create like a square and then put like the color scheme. So this is their button. So we'll call this like pink primary. We have the secondary color, which is this light pink. So we'll call this light pink. And for body text, I like to use something like what we put here, something like a 4848. You want it to be a little bit differentiated, right, from the header. So you don't want it to be black as well. So this is going to be good for a body text. Cool. Okay, beautiful. Cool. Now I think we have everything. Now we're going to start putting things together. So for the header, we're going to put in the Soul Thrillers logo. Go here, copy this, and just put this in. You know, it's actually going to be easier if we pull from a previous project. So let me just do that. I'm going to just pull this headline for this other client, throw it in here, and then let's put in our logo. We're going to have like a white background for the header. Oh, we're missing our white. So FFF, and then create a style for this. So white. Now for this, we're going to put color. So have this as black, make this a different color. For the button, we're going to make this our pink. This is our primary color, and then change this to white. And now what we're doing is, because we're taking all these sections from previous projects, we now have to start applying the new styling. So what I mean by new styling is this phone number here. This is set to an H5 from our previous project. So we're going to try to keep it more or less the same, right? So this one, we're going to change to an H5. Now it'll change it to this, new font. And then this one is an XLB. So we're going to change it with all the styles we set up. So we have XLB, right? And then now we're good to go. We're going to throw this in here, get rid of this. For this font, we're going to change this to pink for now. And the phone number, let me just check what the phone number is. Bring this in and underline it. Okay, now we have this hero section. So what I'm going to start doing is slowly start to plug in stuff just to kind of, look at this more clearly. So this was a section we pulled from a previous client. We're going to swap these out with therapist because I think this is going to look really nice. So we have the folder here that Burhan provided, and we're going to start throwing in these therapists in here. Okay, there we go. So therapist. Yeah, so I'm going to start downloading these and throwing them in. So let me download this. Now we have the photos. I think this looks nice. Now we just have to kind of clean up the information here. So we're not going to have a dual CTA. We're just going to have one. So we're going to get rid of this button. And I'm just going to create this as book free. Like our offer is a book free console, right? Because they get their first session for free. So set this to hug. I think I need to ungroup this and then set this to hug. Okay, and then we're going to do book free consult up here as well. We're going to clean up all of this, obviously, but for now. So this is going to be our H1 header. It's going to be an H1, but sometimes when you have the image on the side, 57 pixels doesn't quite work. So I'm going to actually detach this and make this a bit smaller, just so it looks a bit cleaner, and we can adjust this later on. For the reviews here, I think the number of people that Burhan has helped is like 6,000 plus. That's what he was mentioning to me. And so we're going to want to mention that, the 6,000 plus people that he's helped. So what I'm thinking here is we can do like a, show the stars, show the people, and then even like 3 little images of people as well, just to like really hammer down the social proof here. So again, we've done this already for our client here. So I just grab this. This makes it so easy. And the beautiful thing is, like, we've tested all of this as well, right? A lot of the stuff that I'm showing. So it just works. So join. Okay, the exact number is join 6,400 people. I don't think join is the right word here. It might be, we'll wordsmith it later, but for now it should be good. Okay, change this body text here to large regular. And for the check marks here, I really think this will be valuable to leverage. So what I'm thinking is we're going to use, because we actually A/B tested this for Burhan when he had his old page. We had these 3 check marks here, which worked well. We actually A/B tested it and we saw a lift in conversion. So I want to keep that the same, but slightly changing it now because I think we could probably do like fully virtual or like 100%. Let's just do virtual phone or video. Say like 100% virtual. We have no waitlist, which I think is good. And 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. is good, but I think we can show like from when to when, right? So it's like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Sunday, I guess. Yeah, it was not 20. If it was 24/7, I could just put that, but this looks a bit clunky, but we'll fix this later. I'm just going to tighten the spacing, going to detach some of this. So we have the check marks. For the stats here, I'm going to go and change the styles. So change all of these. And then here I'm going to change, what should this be? This is regular, so I'm going to keep it the same to regular. 16 pixels minimum font size. Let's make it a bit bigger. Put it to a large. And for the stats here, so one of the stats that he mentioned was 98% of people are happy with their first match, right? 90% of clients are happy with first match. For these other stats here, I think one other thing he mentioned in the call was like the fast response time, right? If we look at the bottom here, I think he put it like 10 or 15 minutes response time. So let's put like 10 minutes. Average response time. For the other 2 metrics, I'm just going to quickly make it up and then just verify with Burhan at the end. So I'm just going to put like 85% recommend to a friend. I'll have to verify this with him to make sure the number's accurate. And then maybe one other metric would be like the people that feel, you know, clear-headed, some sort of social proof stat. So like 8 and 10 feel clear-headed after first session, right? So these are our stats, and then just going to change the color here to our black, right? So now you can see it's kind of coming together. And for the final thing for the color here, we're going to change this, obviously. Let's try a light pink. This doesn't look good. Pink here looks too dark, looks too much, too in your face. I think I'm going to go white, and then for this, I'm going to try pink. I still don't like this pink. I think we got to go a bit lighter here. Because if you remember what I said, we always want like one light color wherever possible. Like alternate between dark and light. So I'm going to actually detach this. I'm going to create another version. Maybe something like this. Yeah, maybe something like this. Now I'm going to just create this as a light pink. Yeah, and then that way this will stand out a bit more on the top. Change this to black, change this to body text, change this to pink, change this to white, change these to black, change this to black, and then change this background to like body text. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's kind of coming together now. I think I'm just going to add a bit of spacing here between this and this. Make it a little bit more breathable. I don't like this heading font being an H5. I'm actually going to change this to our body text, which is Lotto. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'll change this to Lotto and make this bold. Now that I'm thinking about it too, for the phone number, I think we should rock a dual CTA because, you know, above the fold, not everyone prefers to just book a consult. So we might even want people to book a, you know, phone call as well. So I'm going to add a dual CTA here. I'm going to duplicate this auto layout, bring it in one line, make this a bit smaller to, let's say 1632 over here, make this 32, and just give it like a slight outline, right? So outside, change the border to pink, and then over here, change this to black. And then from here, change this, and let's put the phone number here instead to something like this, and let's just add a little phone icon as well. Okay, cool. So we have this. This should be large bold, and this should be large bold. Okay. In terms of like the buttons, because we have some incongruency here, I think what we'll do is we'll make this like a, I don't want it to be too round because therapy is like, this is not a SaaS company, right? It's not like a matching platform. So, you know, roundedness of buttons also matters in that. When you get a too round of a button, it feels like a SaaS. So I'm going to change this to 12, and I'm going to change this one here to a 12 as well, and this to a 12. I think that's a good in between. It doesn't feel like it's too sassy. It doesn't feel like it's too professional either. It's kind of in between. It's kind of friendly. You can see just like that, we already have the hero section. And of course, the headline and stuff is not finalized. We're going to do that at the very end, right? So we're just kind of plugging stuff in now. For this one here, we're going to do the same thing. Sorry, actually, this should be black, or this should be body text for the pain point section. So I don't think we need an image because it's not like a letter from a person. It's just going to be a general sales letter, so we can get rid of that. This is our copy here for the sales letter. I'm going to put this to the side, and for now, I'm just going to take what we already have here, and I'm just going to change the style so that it matches our brand guidelines. This should be like an extra large, regular. Cool. And then for the colors, let's just change this to pink for now. Get rid of this and change this to our pink and change this to extra large bold and change this to put free consult. Okay. Like typically there's two directions, right? On landing pages we build, we'll either put social proof under the free consult button or we'll put reduction of FUDs, which are fear, uncertainty, doubt. So things like money back guarantee, free trial, etc. So considering that we have actually A/B tested these check marks over here, if you've watched my past videos, you know I've spoken about this. I'm actually going to use these check marks underneath each CTA, right? It's just a reminder for people. Some people might think this is repetitive. The data tells me otherwise. It works really well, so I'm going to just put it underneath and roll with it. Now this copy here is placeholder, so eventually we're going to want to change this, but for now we're not focused on that. We're just focused on getting the layout and everything in place. So we're going to do that at the very end. It's way easier to write body copy once you have the headline written, so that's why we're just mapping stuff out. So this is good. Social proof. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this reviews up here. I'm going to change this to an H2. I'm going to change this to black. Get rid of the underline. Now, we do have Google reviews. So I love this wall of love layout because it just shows off the reviews in like the best light possible. So we have a couple photo reviews and we also have a couple Google reviews as well. So I'm going to start putting those in. Okay, cool. So we have the Google reviews here and I'm going to start pulling in together the best ones. So let's do this one here. Okay, so we're going to throw it into our framework. The reason I love this layout so much is because you can see like an actual Google review, like logo, so it's verifiable. And then you can also basically mix and combine like photos with text. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, this is using one of our more outdated frameworks. The newer framework that we've started using now because we've done a bunch of A/B testing is never like this plain text on its own, but a version with a headline as well. Yeah, it's actually this one here. So this is the version where we have the headline combined with the review. This is something we started A/B testing and we've seen good results. So yeah, that's why that repository comes in handy because it's always being updated as well. So it's always the most up-to-date sections that we've A/B tested. So let me put this in here, get rid of this old one, delete it, and start changing this up. So H2, I'm gonna make these are 27. Let me just make these like a, I don't know, like a H5. And then for each of these, we're gonna make this in XLR. Okay, so change the style here, XLR, change it to body text. And for this, we're going to change this to an XLB. And for these, we're going to change it to LBs. Now we're going to start putting in the content, right? So yeah, going back here from the Google review. So basically put in the person's name and take the review that they put. So this is the review and throw it in here. What we want to do is like basically take this review, but then take part of it and use that as a headline because we want to operate under the premise that somebody might not even read this entire review here. They might just only read the headline. So I basically want to pull the best part of this, right? So actually, let's try this. Let's try this. Yeah, so the issue is it's 3 lines, but I've already seen. So we can kind of cut it out. I've seen a difference in how I handle conflict and tough situations. Yeah, I think we'll just say handle tough situations. So we're just cutting out sentences. We're not modifying the review, obviously, because that's not good. Add in the quotations and then just throw in the photos. Take it. So for some people, they'll have just profile icons. For others, they'll have an image. And then because we have this in the headline, we don't need it over here. So I'm going to get rid of this entire thing and just clean it up, right? Beautiful. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other one. So for this over here, we're going to pull in the photos that we have from the Google Drive, from the testimonials. So because Burhan gave us some photos to work off of. So just kind of crop this, make it fit here. Yeah, and he gave me the review, so I'm going to start throwing this in as well. Okay, cool. And then for the name here, Sophia, get rid of the photo because the photo is already here. And this is perfect. Now that we have the framework, just going to make sure everything's good here. I think we can bump this up a font size. Make sure this is black. Make sure this is black. Black. This is body. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to copy this over to the other ones because this has our upgraded styling now. Right? And we have 4 photos in total that we can use. that Burhan provided. So basically now I'm just going to have to fill in the gaps here. So I have these 4 photos and I have these reviews here. So I'm going to go ahead and start populating this in. Okay, perfect. So I finished the reviews here, basically just pulling them from Google and putting in there the reviews. So we have a mixture of some text-based reviews, as you can see here, and then we also have photo reviews. What I want to show you is I tried to pick out reviews that were a bit different from each other. So you can see this one is talking about from the first session, I no longer felt alone, right? This one here is saying I always leave sessions feeling a little lighter. This one here is talking about like for the first time, my anxiety feels manageable and my relationships feel easier. You know, this one here was in a dark place and felt completely alone. This was the first space I felt understood. So kind of just showing a mixture of some people talking about like how they dealt with conflict better, some people talking about feeling better, some people talking about like the therapist just being more understanding and stuff. So good mixture of everything, but we're pretty good in this section. I'm just going to copy this guy over here, change this to 12 and make sure that's up here too. Cool. Social proof is locked in now. Beautiful. Now we have the value props. Okay, so value prop number 1 is this. I'm going to change this style and bring over the button. Just make it a bit smaller. Let's do like 48. Okay. Now what I like to do is I will also start to put together the images just so that like we're not looking at like something that looks completely off, right? Because we're slowly starting to build the page. So I'm going to just go on Pexels for now and just like search up like woman smiling. This is where I get stock photos from. You don't have to pay for these photos. It's a great thing. People use Unsplash. I love this better because it has way more variety. And just a quick note, whenever you're using stock photos, try not to use something that looks cheesy where someone's looking at the camera. Try to pick something where it looks a bit natural. So like I'll even just search up like natural over here, and it takes a bit of trial and error. This is not what I'm looking for. Maybe something like woman smiling working or something. Yeah, this is more the vibes. Okay, I'm just going to put placeholders for now. Obviously, we're going to change these later. But let's just try this photo. It'll do for now for this part. Okay, so just change this to an H3. Change this to a large. And throw in the button. And for the photo, let's just use... If we can find another version of this girl. Okay, we're going to use this for now. We'll definitely have to change this later. This is not a good photo. It's, we can do better than this. So cool, we have this. I'm going to just fix up the spacing a little bit here. Okay. And now virtual therapy. So here we want to show the photo of like something like what we saw with Charlie Health, I think, like this. So what I'm thinking is, I think Burhan provided me a photo of like the Jane app. Okay, cool. So I got a photo from Burhan. He provided this one here. This will do for now. And then we're just going to start changing up the styling here. We're going to worry about the body copy later. Like I said, right now we're just kind of styling stuff, regular, getting everything in order. These are our video reviews. So I'm going to throw this in, change this to H2, and basically swap each of these out and change the styling. And then as soon as I'm done this, I'm going to start pulling in the video reviews that Burhan provided. Okay, beautiful. So I have the reviews here, and I'm going to just change this to pink. And this button now will be white. So take this, change this to white, change this to pink or black. Change these to white. And now what is left? Oh, let me just explain how this will work. So the way that this will work is, let's say somebody clicks play video. It will basically open up a little like pop-up, right, where the video will show. So that will be the functionality. I don't know if we're going to keep this on the final site or not. It's going to be up to Burhan, but for now we have this. Next part is the hiring process. So for these, we're going to want to like change the icons for these. I think I have a better icon, maybe something like a little, rectangle type of thing, 64 by 64. 64 by 64. Throw in something in there, make this like 32 pixels, and then throw this in, change this to pink. That looks really bad. Why is it not? Okay, there we go. Just make this a bit bigger. And then inside of here. Okay, so this is kind of messed up. You know what? I'm just going to use a circle for now. It's just easier. So let me just do that quickly. Cool. Okay, we have a circle for now. We're gonna worry about the rest of this later, like putting in the icons. So again, we're just mapping stuff out. So change this to H6. Change these to regular. And for this button, change this. Cool. Make this hug. All right, matching process. So we're going to come up with body later. Here we're going to come up with the large text. Change the buttons now to book free consult. Get rid of the dual CTA button. For the photos here, I'm just going to use what we already have, which is this. And then we'll swap it out later. Okay, and now for the how it works section. So I think what we're going to do for how it works is like the reference site. So I think it was this one here. I really like this layout. I think this will look perfect. So we're going to try to replicate this. For now, we're just going to use like a little placeholder. So maybe even just a little like card design. And in fact, we can even just take this, if I'm being honest with you. Right, and then we'll have like a little image underneath it. So this will be like the spot for the image. And we'll just put a placeholder. So this is kind of mapping a wireframe, if you will. But structurally now it's sound, right? Because we did it around the copy first. For the insurance, I think this should actually be higher because that's what we saw in all the references, if you remember. So I'm going to move this up over here. And let's just change it to, I mean, we can keep it this color for now. Change it later. Cool. Let's change this to pink. Okay, so the good thing here now is I know it feels like it's a little bit rough, but we basically have the full kind of layout done here now. Structurally, this is pretty sound. There's some, changes we still need to make, obviously, to photos and icons, but from a, wireframe perspective, we're in a good, decent spot. Now it's just a matter of writing the copy, right? So like now we're going to start polishing stuff up, like making it look more good, adding in the right photos as well, and basically just bringing it all together. So the part that I'm going to start at is the hero section, and I'm going to start writing the copy, and then we're going to slowly make our way down. So for the hero section, the main thing that you want to try to communicate in the headline is the primary benefit or what's in it for me. So a lot of people will put in the who you are, what you do. That's the wrong way to think about it. You want to think of what is the biggest benefit that people care about and putting that in the headline. So I use a 3-step framework, and this is actually in our, a framework here, or like our list that we're working off of. So, hero section, right? Your design and layout should be finalized. Now it's time to write the copy. This is the 3-step framework, which is end result plus time period plus emotional payoff. So end result is basically what do people care about, right? Lose 20 pounds, 3 extra revenue, and chronic pain, right? Time period is how long will it take? So 90 days, this week, 24 results. And emotional payoff is how somebody will feel once they achieve the result. So building a body you're proud of, feeling like yourself again, etc. So now what I want to do is basically think of each of these different points. So a way to get inspiration is to basically take all the content you have, right? So we're going to take the onboarding form notes, and I'm just going to say, here's information. Don't do anything yet. And I'm going to then take our notes that we wrote and our content outline and throw this in as well. I'm going to say, don't do anything yet. Just let me know if you understand. Throw it in. We're going to use our landing page prompts. I'm going to put a link in the description for this below, but this is going to really help, speed up the process, right? Using AI. So prompt for headline, we're going to copy this entire thing and we're going to throw it in over here. And it's going to try to follow that 3-step framework that I spoke about. So, I mean, this is so good, right? Already, like, feel calm, clear, and in control again within your first week. I mean, that on its own is already really solid. Stop carrying everything alone and start feeling heard this week. Feel like yourself again in the next 7 days with a therapist who listens, understands your situation, helps you move forward. Get relief from constant stress, overthinking. Feel supported, understood. So I'm going to start like taking some of these, right? But this is already really good. What I like to do is just kind of put it off to the side. So if I take all of these and throw them here, I'm going to just start like creating headlines here, right? So headlines, and just come up with a bunch of different variations. So we have feel calm, clear, and in control again within your first week. So if we use my framework, right, this part here, your first week is a timeline. Feel calm and clear, that is like the emotional payoff, right? Like feeling calm and feeling clear. This part here, feel calm and clear, this is the end result, right? Because this is what people are trying to strive towards. And the emotional payoff is like how people feel once they reach that result of feeling calm or clear, which is they're going to feel like they are in control again, right? So all of these headlines are already following my framework. So feel like yourself again, get relief from constant stress. I think I like this one the most. Yeah, let's try this one. The only thing though with this one is this week feels like a bit generic. So you want to make the time gap feel like as quick as possible, right? You don't want to make people feel like they have to wait a long time to get something. My thought process is like starting this week it feels like a long commitment. I think we can even change this to something like 24 hours, like just say like in 24 hours. Maybe even like first session or like from the very first. The reason I like this is because the angle of people not feeling a connection. And one important thing that Burhan said in the discovery call was, you will only really know the effect of how good our therapists are once you jump on a call with them on the phone. That value proposition is so compelling that I want to make it feel like you get all these things from the first session. So I think I like this angle from the first session because it just feels more impactful than 24 hours or, within the first week. So let me just create like a short list here, short list. So feel supported, understood, and less stuck from the very first session. So I think feeling understood and supported are both strong. I just don't like the less stuck part. It feels like kind of vague. Like I'm not sure what less stuck really means. So I think I'll get rid of this and try to think of something else here. So we have feel supported, understood. Using my framework, we have feel supported, understood. That's the end result. We have from the very first session, that's the time period. Now we need the emotional payoff, which I think the strongest one would either be like feel in control, right? And in control of life again. From the very first session, that could work really well. Let's see how it looks. So yeah, basically, I'm not too concerned about the length of the headline, but I do want to try to fit this into 3 lines wherever possible. And like this empty space here on the right just looks really bad. So this is what I like to do. Like I like to basically like reorder stuff. So I'll see if like putting understood does anything. It doesn't. Like I tried to put understood in front of supported, that doesn't work. But even before I do that, let me just finalize this first. Feel understood, supported, and in control. So I think this is the best. This part's good, this part's good, and this part's good. I just think it's missing like a word here, like feel understood, supported, and maybe like finally in control of life again. Because people are frustrated with other therapists, they're frustrated with their life, they're frustrated with what's going on. So I like the word finally in this context because it's like, you're finally going to fix the issue, right? It has that emotional appeal. It has that zing to it. Let me actually put it, because I think if we put it in front, it kind of gives context for everything. So finally feel understood, supported, in control of life again from the very first session. Again, kind of implies that they were in control before, I guess. Not everyone is like that, so I'll get rid of that. I hate how this is on one extra line. I don't want to shrink down the font size because I could do this technically and it would shrink it, but it just doesn't have a sense of visual hierarchy, like flow of information. So I'm going to try something else here. I think we can get rid of life and in control. Yeah, that works. Okay, finally feel understood, supported, and in control from the very first session. Because you don't have to say of life. I think it's understood, right? In control. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's see. Okay, that breaks it. 52 is perfect. We can even make this a bit bigger. Change this to like 1300. And then, oh, okay, this is not set to fill. If I set this to fill, then I think we should be good. 54. There we go. Okay, looks like that's the breaking point. Cool. Now this looks good. So yeah, final feel understood, supported, and in control from the very first session. Yeah, I think this hits on all this stuff. So just there, you could see how I came up with that headline on the spot. Body text we're going to worry about at the end, but this reviews, I'm going to swap out these images quickly. Okay, cool. These are swapped out. And for the join, because it's not really like, you're not really joining people, I want to kind of change this a little bit. The company's based in Canada, so maybe we do something like 6,400 Canadians helped. It kind of feels more personalized, right? Rather than just like 6,400 people, 6,400 Canadians, you know, Americans, whatever it may be, doesn't matter. And then just see what else is there. Yeah, so I think this has come out pretty well. The stats here and the insurance. Now we got to figure out design wise how to fit these together, but I'll worry about that later. Right now I'm going to do the headlines. So for the headline, what we want to do if we go to our framework is basically, this is for the pain point, right? So we want to address the largest pain point that we solve in the old way while also tying in the unique benefit. We also have this in our landing page prompts. So basically I'll go to the pain point section over here and look for the pain point headline over here. So copy this, throw this into GPT. Okay, so it's giving me just the pain point here, which is fine. I mean, if I'm just even thinking about it logically, so you want to like, again, think of the pain point and then the solution. So the biggest pain point, if we look at our notes, frustration, like time is passing, problems getting bigger. I think we just keep it simple to like stress and overwhelm, right? So like my go-to like formula is like feeling X and Y. So it's like feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And then follow that up with the solution. So it could be like, it doesn't have to be this way, or it could be like, it doesn't have to get worse. Or even, I think we actually came up with it in the headline, right? Finally, less alone. Yeah, this is a big one because Burhan had mentioned that people don't have an outlet for someone to talk to, right? So I think we could do something like that where it's like feeling stressed and overwhelmed. You don't have to deal with it alone anymore. Deal with it alone. Because that just implies that like, you know, they no longer have to be alone. So yeah, this is basically combining the benefit with the pain point rather with the solution, right? Killing two birds with one stone. Body copy will come up with later. So for the social proof, so this is the mistake that most people make with their social proof, right? And you can see, because I copied this from a previous client, this is exactly how the headline should be written, right? This is what most people do though, to show you. They put our reviews. They put, see what our customers say. They put our testimonials, right? The funny thing about this is I already know I'm looking at reviews, right? So these headlines are a complete waste of space because it's not actually communicating the benefit. You're just telling people the obvious, right? So what you want to do instead is something like this, where it's like join X number of people or trusted by X number of people to achieve XYZ benefit. So for us, it would be join 6,400 plus Canadians or 6,400 plus people or whatever it may be, right? And then, you know, we want to think of like what the benefit is here. So I'm going to actually try this in GPT and just say like, come up with a high converting social proof headline following this framework, getting XYZ benefit. So you can see join 6,400 people getting real support, clear direction and relief. People feeling heard, understood, and more control. So this is like basically the headline. People who finally found someone they can talk to without judgment. I like that. That's pretty cool. That's very benefit oriented. Getting support that helps their life feel lighter again. Yeah, so I'll try this. Finally found someone they can talk to. I just think this is not really clear. We want to make it like as clear and as benefit driven as possible. So I'm just going to go back to the original notes here and just like think what people would care about. I mean, the main goal at the end of the day is, you know, reducing the feeling of being overwhelmed, finding someone to talk to, reducing stress. And I think at the heart of it, because this was mentioned quite a few times in the discovery call, which was like improving your relationships. So maybe we can even do something like join 6,400 people who improved stress or like reduced stress and improved their relationships. I think that could work. Yeah, so way more benefit driven, as you can see. And now we want to come up with the headlines for each of these, right? So the first one here is someone who actually cares about you and makes you feel heard. I will basically take that value prop over here and I'm going to copy it right next to it. So I have it right next to it, right? And let's just make this a bit smaller. Right, so now I want to try to fit this into here, right? So I'm going to throw this in GPT. I'm going to say, come up with a super high converting headline around this value prop and basically try to come up with something here. This is not bad. Talk to someone who truly cares, listens deeply, and helps you feel understood from the start. Feel what it's like to have someone truly on your side. Work with a therapist who makes you feel heard, understood, and genuinely cared for. So, I mean, yeah, these are all good frameworks. I think just to simplify it for you guys, whenever I get kind of stuck on what to write, I always like to think of benefit and feature. So the feature is like what people get, but the benefit is what the derived, you know, end benefit is of that feature, right? So we're talking about someone who cares about you and makes you feel heard. So I think something like, so I just start with the feature, right? So like, you know, feel genuinely heard. Like someone who listens and genuinely cares. So this is the feature. And then if we think about the benefit here, it's, you basically want to ask yourself, so what, right? So it's like someone who listens and genuinely cares so that, you know, they have, you know, a support network, so that, you know, they finally feel, you know, better about their situation, so that, you know, they no longer feel alone, right? That to me would be like the derived benefit, I would say. So someone who listens and genuinely cares, so you no longer feel alone. And then from here, what I would do is I want to front load the benefit, right? So like this is the feature, this is the benefit, but let's try to lead with this first. So I would actually swap the order. So it's like no longer feel alone and have someone who listens and genuinely cares. And then this part here is a bit awkward. Have someone, I think we can change this to like speak to someone. Or actually, let's do it. Talk to someone. Yeah, I think this is good. No longer feel alone and talk to someone who listens and genuinely cares. Okay, perfect. The next one here. So this is around the problem solving, right? So again, we're going to take our handy dandy outline, take this over here and put it right next to this, right next to our value prop. And again, we want to think of the same lens. So the feature is that we don't just listen, we actually prescribe problems, or sorry, not prescribe problems, we prescribe solutions. The benefit, the derived benefit is like you have more direction in life, right? That's like the so that or the so what. How about we do something like we are problem solve, we help solve your problems so that you have a clear direction in life. We solve your problems. I mean, this is not the best headline. Let me just try GPT, make this higher converting, see what it gives us. Work through what's weighing on you, stop feeling stuck, understand what's keeping you stuck. I mean, I'm trying to think of what's another word for direction? Because basically it's like giving you direction and giving you on the right path. Oh, okay, you know what? Actually, I could use the word guide. guide is better. So it's something like, okay, we could do something like, we guide you on the right path, right? So this is like, we're helping you coming up with solutions so that you can feel more capable, I guess, more capable handling life. Like I'm trying to center it around this. Like people want to, this should be sleep and focus better on their day-to-day life without stress. So I think it's like giving them the guidance, because I think what Burhan had said was, yeah, this thing here. He said, we identify the roadblocks and help you overcome them. So it's like we guide you on the right path such that you can feel more, maybe like more calm and capable handling life. We guide you on the right path so you can feel more calm and capable handling life. I think we can even just get rid of so you can. So like we can get rid of the word can, I think. So yeah, we guide you on the right path so you feel more calm and capable of handling life. Yeah, I think that's good. The virtual part now. Okay, so virtual therapy. Let me just find that part. Virtual. Okay, here. So this one should be pretty easy because it's just like virtual. So put this in just for inspiration, come up with headlines around this. Okay, get therapy that fits your schedule, not the other way around. Talk to a therapist from home on your time without rearranging your life. Therapy that works around your life schedule and responsibilities. Let's roll with this one for now and see if we can modify it, wordsmith it a little bit. Change this font as well. Forgot to change this. Talk to a therapist from home on your time without rearranging your life. So again, using the feature benefit framework, the feature here is get access to 100% virtual sessions. And then if we ask ourselves so that, right, it's like something that fits around your life. So the benefit of 100% virtual sessions is so that you could say like get support around your life. I think, well, this is the benefit, right? So we want to lead with this. So let's swap the order, right? So get support around your life. Let's say get support that fits your life, right? Fits your life with 100% flexible virtual sessions, right? So again, feature benefit. What I'm thinking here though, I think we just need busy, right? Because people are very busy and they tend to procrastinate. I think this is good. We could even get rid of the word flexible, but we'll see once we get to mobile if we need to get rid of it. This is good for now. This is for the video testimonial. So basically we want to use another variation of this one up here, but we don't want to repeat it either. So let me think. So throw in GPT, come up with another variation of this, please. Reduce stress, feel calmer, clearer, and better in the relationships. I want to differentiate this a little bit. I want to differentiate from stress and relationships a little bit. Feel heard, supported, and more in control. Clarity, relief, and a better way forward. Less alone and more certain. I like this one too. Finally have someone they can talk to without judgment. Let's try this one for now. People, just make it lowercase. Finally have someone they can talk to without judgment. And then because this 6400 is kind of repetitive, I'm just going to change this to thousands. And get rid of people. So join thousands who finally have someone they can talk to without judgment. That should be good. This is around the hiring process. So let's pull up that headline. So here's all of our points around hiring. And we're going to throw that guy here. So again, benefit feature, right? So maybe something like, you know, we hire the best. We have a rigorous hiring process. So you are always, I think, well, the benefit of a rigorous hiring process is so that like, people feel, so you feel an instant connection with your therapist, right? I'm not a big fan of this headline. We'll have to change this a bit later, but it'll do for now. We call to check in. Let me go here. Call to check in. So this one. Why do we have two call to check-ins? Oh, I think one of these should be matching. Well, I think I changed it by accident. So this should be matching process. But for this headline, we call to check in. So, you know, again, it's like we call or we check in frequently so that you always feel supported every step of the way type of thing, right? Come up with more variations of this that are high converting. See what it gives us. Check-in rate. So we already used never feel alone. Ongoing check-ins to feel supported, heard. We've used that as well. I like this one here. Make sure you feel supported and moving forward, because part of this is like you want to feel like you're making progress, right? You're not just stuck in the same situation. So I like this. We just need to fine tune it a bit. So I'm going to change this to we check in, and we've already used supported. So I'm going to get rid of supported. We check in like between sessions to make sure you move forward. Or you're moving forward. Could put in life here because we couldn't put it in the header, so let's put it here. Like the hero section, we couldn't put it up there. So we check in between sessions to make sure you move forward in life. Yeah, I like that. I think the only thing though is just to make sure you move forward, to We check in between sessions to make sure you move forward. I think I'm going to change this so you can keep moving forward. This feels a bit more active tense. We check in between sessions so you can keep, yeah, I think this is better. For the matching process, let's throw that together. Cool. So this is around the matching of therapists, right? Like us matching people. So basically the benefit here is like the feature here, sorry, is get matched perfectly with the first therapist, get matched perfectly the first time. I mean, the benefit of this is so you feel an instant connection, right? Feel an instant connection. Now that I think about it, this one here, the matching part, is like very similar to the hiring process because both of them are instant connection because we hire the best people so that you feel a connection and we match you with those people that we hire so that you feel an instant connection. So honestly, you know, I think I'm going to get rid of the matching section and just integrate it directly with the hiring section. So I'll kind of kill two birds with one stone here. That will also make the page a little bit tighter and less repetitive. So I'm going to move this over here and bring this up here. So this is for the matching part. This is for the how it works part. So for how it works, it's the same principle, right? Where people already know they're looking at a how it works section, right? So if you just have a section like a headline rather that says how it works, complete waste of space, right? Because they already know they're looking at how it works. Instead, you want to make the headline basically feel as if whatever they're doing and whatever path they're taking is as effortless as possible, right? So like you can see this example that we had from our previous client, because this got pulled from the previous section, was like get a, XYZ in just 4 simple steps, right? So it's like get benefit in 4 simple steps, get benefit in 3 simple steps, right? We want to make it really feel effortless. So I think if I throw this in here and I say come up with a how it works headline. So start feeling better in 4 simple steps, get matched with the right therapist. Yeah, I mean, I think this could actually be like our matching part. But again, this is not really the benefit. The benefit is like feeling better, feel supported. Let's go with this one for now. We've used this quite a bit. I think let's try less stress and overwhelmed. Because Burhan said that was the #1. So this was the #1 thing that people experienced was less stress and overwhelmed. I think this was what Burhan said too for the biggest thing, biggest benefit. So let's roll with this for now. Let's make this into one line, tighten up the spacing here. FAQs, I typically just use GPT for this. So, come up with the top FAQs most people would have. We want to kind of center this around objections though. So if we go back to our notes here, the objections were money, right? So like, I think one question should be like, how much does this session cost? Just because we're going to filter out a lot of people that can't afford it as well. And like, there's no surprises. We could have a question around this as well. Like, how do I know if I'm right for therapy right now? So yeah, we could center it around this, but let's see what GPT gives us. It kind of gives us kind of similar stuff. So this is good. I think we'll just put the first question as like, how much does the session cost? And then we can use these other ones from GPT and just throw them in one by one. Okay, cool. So I think these questions should be sufficient. Now I'm just going to put these into GPT and basically just ask for answers for these. So help me come up with answers. And we don't have to worry about this now, to be honest, because, it's in prototype mode, but we'll probably end up doing this closer to the development phase. But regardless, I'll just start at least copying the first question. The final section here is the closer section. And so conceptually, the way you want to think of this is, we're spending a lot of effort to get people to convert. This is basically giving people that one final push to get over the edge to actually convert. Now, in order to do this effectively, you want to basically think of this as like a mini above the fold, right? So we're going to take our above the fold up here and bring this down underneath and basically just implement this. And we want to have like 4 to 5 different bullet points of what the main thing is about. But for the headline, almost like a mini above the fold in the sense that we're going to have a benefit driven headline, but you want to add a little bit more urgency to this headline, right? Because it's this final closer section. So it's kind of like, instead of finally feel understood, it's more like take the first step today, right? Type of thing. And finally feel supported, in control and understood, right? Or it could even be take the first step today and maybe something like feel less alone and stressed, right? Because again, we're trying to push people. So they're already in a state of, stress and loneliness. And we're trying to basically say, take the first step today and feel, maybe take the first step today towards feeling less stressed and alone. I think this could work really well. And then we're going to want to take our same social proof that we have over here and bring this above the fold. For this, we're going to want to change this to white. or pink rather, and then just change the brand colors. Now, what I am thinking is, so normally what we do is we put these little check marks here, but I think for our offer, because they're in a state of like overwhelm, what will actually help or make more sense for this offer is kind of like the reference site that I found, which is basically showing how it works from step 1 to step 3. I think this will be a better example here. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically create that. So I'm going to just duplicate this and say step 1, and then put this underneath and just actually bring this in line. So it's kind of like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, and step 3, do this, right? And then we'll just ask ChatGPT, come up with the copy for these steps for the form section. So step 1, complete the short form. Step 2, we match it with the therapist. Step 3, start with the free consult. Okay, change this. And I think I'm going to name each of these two. So step 1, it's like fill out this form and get a fast response. Step 2 is match with the right therapist, so get matched with the right therapist. And then maybe step 3 is like, I think like join online session, 100% confident, or not confidential, but private. Yeah, cool. And then I'm just going to fix up the spacing and stuff for this and the colors. Okay, cool. So fix this up here. Now we have a pretty good section and design. Now, the final thing is for the form here on the right. So by the way, I haven't covered this. And by the way, this should just be changed here. I have not covered this yet, but all of the book consult buttons on the page. So every place where we have book free consult, there's 2 different ways that we can do this, right? The first way is we can scroll people down to the form, and this will work well for a lot of clients in a lot of cases. However, in the case where it's a bit more of like an emotional buy and pain point driven buy, where, you know, people have a deep pain and they have a lot of uncertainty and objections and anxiety around, you know, filling out the form on the site, I would actually not recommend scrolling it down, because what ends up happening for offers like this is that on the way down, like when they click book free consult and they get taken down to the bottom form, they're going to go through a bunch of other sections, right? Like the screen is going to show them a bunch of different sections as they're scrolling down. And that might actually cause additional overwhelm and additional anxiety that we don't want to necessarily introduce. So what we're actually going to do instead is create a separate contact page. So all the book free consult buttons will link to that separate page. And then we're just going to have this form sit at the bottom either way, just as kind of like a closing section. Now that we added in this, I think we need to balance this out on the right a little bit. So I'm going to add in the check marks over here. So I'll throw in the check marks over here and just make this vertical and clean up the spacing. One thing that I'm not a big fan of now that I actually think about it is the Monday to Sunday. Might as well just say 7 days a week. Like that's way more clear. And for this, I think we could say like start today, no wait list. I'm gonna go ahead and make that change in all of the spots for all of the different buttons right now. Okay, perfect. So now, final thing, I'm just going to swap out this testimonial with one of the testimonials we have higher up on the page. Okay, perfect. So we should be all good now. Let me just make this a bit darker, like that. So now we have the closing section, and we have pretty much every other section on the page kind of fully mapped out and good to go. So now it's just a matter of the, you know, kind of final touches here and adding in the body copy, right? So let's kind of start first with the top part up here, right? The way that I like to think of the hero section, body copy, right? If we go to our high converting blueprint framework, is, you know, headline is dream outcome and what's in it for me. The body text is basically, you know, leading with the pain point. So stop doing X, no more Y, right? And then you follow it up over here with the solution. So stop doing X, no more Y. Our solution does X, Y, Z. And then you articulate the main benefit you provide and explain how you do what it is you just mentioned that you said in the headline, right? In a unique or proprietary way. If I was to put it in more simple terms, I would actually just think of the body text as almost as if you are taking all of your value props, right? So you have value prop here, value prop here, value prop here, you know, the hiring, the check-in. You take like, let's say the top 3 to 4 value props, right? And you're almost like encapsulating it into that one body text above the fold, under the premise that majority of people, right, on average 60% of people don't even scroll past this top section. So you want to operate under the premise that somebody will just see this and nothing else on the page, right? So that's how I want to think of the body text over here. So for the pain point here, we're going to start first with the pain point. You know, bar none, easily, without a doubt, it's going to be feeling stressed or overwhelmed, right? That is the biggest thing. And don't worry about it being repetitive, because even here I have feeling stressed and overwhelmed. But the thing is that 60% of people will not even scroll past here, right? Again, so it doesn't matter if you're a little bit repetitive. I think we can change it a little bit though. We could maybe even say feeling stressed with no one to talk to. because a lot of people don't have an outlet. So I think that's a little bit differentiated, but you don't have to worry about the feeling stress part being repeated, right? So this is the pain point here. And now we want to basically like stack our different benefits. So it's like, you know, our virtual therapy, or it's like almost like get virtual therapy with a therapist who, and then we want to stack the benefits. So value prop number 1 is someone who listens and genuinely cares, right? So it's like get virtual therapy with a therapist who listens and genuinely cares. The next one would be, you know, guides you on the right path, right? So that's like the next one, guides you on the right path. And then the final third most important value prop, we've already covered the virtual part. So maybe we can talk about the checking in part. I think that's pretty important, right? So checking in between sessions. So it's get virtual therapy with a therapist who listens, genuinely cares, guides you on the right path, and checks in between sessions. Just something at the end here so that you always feel supported, right? So it's pain point here, and then, you know, get XYZ benefit, and you're like taking all your value props that you have further on the page and kind of squeezing it into this above the fold at the top here. Now, I'm just going to wordsmith this a bit. So we're seeing virtual therapy with a therapist. That feels redundant. Let's just say meet virtually with a therapist who I think genuinely listens and cares. That just feels a bit more readable. Instead of right path, let's do clear. So it's like clear path, not the right path, because it's not about being right or wrong. It's about being clear on what path you're taking. And then to cut this down, let's just put often so that you always feel supported. Beautiful. Okay, so body text is knocked out. Then the next step is this guy over here. So pain point section. So we already covered the headline. Now it's about coming up with the body text. So we basically use a framework for this called problem, agitate, solve, right? So you want to first talk about the problem. So this will be easy for us, but basically we want to just list out all of the different things that people are experiencing, right? Do you have pains? Do you avoid trips? Worried you can't move, etc., right? Then we want to agitate the problem. So we want to, you know, talk about all of the different things that they're missing out on in life as a byproduct of their problem, right? Really turning up the heat and making them feel it, right? And then the final thing is S, which stands for solution, which is where you present your solution as the way out of the problem that they're facing. So we can use our landing page prompt framework for this, where if you scroll down here, we have the prompt for pain point section. So copy this and throw it in to GPT, and it will do a really, really solid job of coming up with the baseline, right? So we don't need like a deer. I think we don't need like a deer person or something. We can just get straight into it. So maybe something like, you know, do you feel like you're caring too much and have nobody you can talk to? Are you trying to hold everything together? That's pretty good. Have you wondered if talking to someone could help, but worried it feels awkward or pointless, right? Like really solid copy right off the bat, just within a matter of seconds. You may look fine on the outside, but inside things feel harder than they should. Your mind keeps looping, your energy feels lower, the same thoughts keep returning, and nothing feels fully resolved, right? It's going through like all of the stuff that I've given it because I fed it a bunch of information from our notes and discovery calls and stuff. And so it's pulling from that, you know, really good copy. You're handling work, family responsibilities and expectations while trying to act normal. Sleep becomes harder, patience becomes shorter, relationships get heavier. And then, you know, eventually it's talking about the solution. So the only thing is, this is a little bit too long. So I'm going to kind of, you know, do this section by section, but this is like, if you don't have copywriting experience, this will really just help you get it from the start. So I've done this quite a few times, so I can kind of come up with this more specifically, but I think the first thing would be, you know, if we go to our pain point, so let's actually grab our pain point section, throw it in over here. Right, so first thing was, you know, relationship problems, right? So I think it's kind of like, are you facing relationship stress, you know, constant fighting, because that's what Burhan had also mentioned, and, you know, feeling unheard, you know, something like tired of crippling anxiety or stress. Then we have the whole family aspect. So I think talking about that is important as well. So maybe like struggling with family conflict, struggling with family issues rather, conflict, or feeling unheard. Sorry, we already have unheard here, so let's do feeling unsupported. And let's add in one more check mark here, which I think is like the, because what did Burhan say? Oh yeah, people often say on sales calls that their situation is getting worse over time. So let's actually put that as one of the things as well, which would be feel like things keep getting worse every day with no way out. So all of this up here, these first 4 points, this is all the problem part of PAS, right? Of that framework, problem, agitate, solve. I'm going to just get rid of all of this so that you can kind of, it's kind of cleaned up a little bit. If so, you're not alone. So now let's change this to whatever you're facing, you're not alone, because they might not only be facing these 4 things, there might be something else outside of this, so we'll keep it broad, right? So saying whatever you're facing, you're not alone. And people have this sense of guilt, right? So I think it's like, and it's not your fault, right? It's not actually your fault, right? And then we want to kind of describe like what they want to feel like, right? It's not your fault. You just want to feel more calm and capable. And now we're at the point of agitation, right? So now we want to say what they're missing out on as a byproduct of all these different pain points up here, right? So it's like, you know, you've tried pushing through or talking to others and you still feel misunderstood. And then again, we want to further agitate. So it's like, you know, each day, you know, things get worse. So every single day things get worse, and it's affecting every single area of your life, right? So this is the GPT version where they kind of said like sleep gets harder, patience comes shorter. So I want to kind of say this, but not like this long. I think we can cut it down. So we could say here, the arguments happen more, because this is for the relationship audience. Maybe the anxiety or stress gets louder. And I think GPT put something really nice. Yeah, your mind keeps looping. Yeah, I think that's good. Like you're stuck in your mind. And then here's where we can say your relationships, work, stress, or not work, not stress, sorry. Your relationships, work, sleep, school, energy, and focus, or maybe even focus and life all start to suffer, right? And in fact, while we're doing this, you want to also start to like bold and underline stuff for emphasis. It seems kind of cliche, but I don't know, it genuinely just works. It's one of those things where if you bold something, you underline something, it has more emphasis. So this is part of direct response copywriting, and it definitely just works. It crushes. Even this one here, I'm going to want to bold and underline. Can do that at the end here. Now we have to show you the framework. So right now we have problem. All of this stuff here, if I put it in a different color, let me put it in pink. This is all problem, right? Then we have all of this here, which is agitate. Okay, now we have the final step, which is solution. It doesn't have to be this way, right? And then we're going to put in the X's here. So I'm going to swap these out with X's quickly. So swap this out. And then basically want to describe all the things they no longer have to do, right? To kind of break those beliefs of what they don't have to do. So it's like, you don't have to figure this out alone anymore, right? You don't need advice from like another therapist who just doesn't get you. So you don't need advice from someone who doesn't truly get you, or even instead of get you, let's change it to understand you. And then the final one would be like, you don't have to, you know, pretend that you're fine. Get rid of this, and then add another line here and say, you know, what you do need is, and now this is where we'd say the solution, right? So we're not just saying pain point. We're not just saying, you know, agitating it. We're actually giving them the solution, right? So what you need to do is talk to someone who genuinely listens, cares, and never judges you. And again, this is important. What you need is someone. Cool, cut that down. And then here we can say something like at Soul Thrillers, right? We've helped 6,400 plus Canadians, you know, achieve XYZ benefits. So for us, we could say, instead of we'll say our therapists have helped 6,400 Canadians dealing with stress, anxiety, with relationship issues, stress and anxiety and depression, finally feel better and get their life in control. Or we've already said that, so I think let's do like life back on track. We can even say here about the hiring part, like we only hire the top 2% of therapists, right? So that you feel instantly connected from day one. Connected doesn't really make sense here. Instantly connected. Let's try instantly understood from day one. I don't like from day one either. Let's do from the first session. And I think we can get rid of therapists. Cool. And the final sentence could say, you know, the best part is that you have 100% virtual sessions with evenings and weekends included, so it fits your life. Let me get rid of something here. Best part. We have 100% virtual sessions. I think we could say it's 100% virtual. It's 100% virtual, so we can try and cut this down to one line with evenings and weekends. so it fits your life. There we go. So yeah, you know, this is how you want to kind of approach it. And again, this section, pain point section, is going to differ from a visual perspective depending on the client. But for something like therapy where it's very emotional, there's a lot of different, you know, ways to explain it from a words perspective. One of the best ways is, bar none, just having it laid out like this through text. People think that people are not going to read this. My saying is always this, right? People always say that people don't read, right? They scan. I like to say people do read if you give them a reason to read, right? People do scroll if you give them a reason to scroll. So there's nothing wrong with a long page with long text. Even when you look at the entire page right now, right? It's really long, right? It's quite long. Don't get too hung up on that, because people will read if every section is different, every section is unique, and it's giving them additional value, which right now it is, right? And of course, we're going to put it to the test when we actually run this as a test for Burhan for his ads. But yeah, this section just does really, really well. I'm just going to go in now and just bold a couple things, and then I'll report back once that's done. Okay, cool. Let's just made a couple changes, underline some stuff. I think we're good. This part is already good. Okay, for this part here. So what we want to do here now is basically write the body copy for this. The way that I like to write the body copy is I use GPT as the base, so I'll give it this information here and our original content outline, and I'll say, here's our content, write body text for this headline that is high converting indirect response. And I'll put the copy, I'll give it the headline. Here's the headline. Don't repeat what is in the headline already, right? Because GPT has a habit of repeating stuff. Okay, this is horrible, so make this way shorter. Okay, let's kind of work off of this. Make this one paragraph. So most people don't have a real outlet where they can speak openly without feeling judged, dismissed, or misunderstood. From the first conversation, we focus on matching you with someone who understands your situation, makes the conversation feel natural, and helps you feel comfortable opening up. Not bad at all. I'm just going to say cut this down and make this tighter without getting rid of important text. This should be good. Yeah, I think that should be fine for now. Same thing here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to say, come up with, do the same thing with this. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, basically repeated it, horrible. Come up with body copy for this and make it high converting direct response. This is not bad, but I think what this is missing right now is it feels kind of repetitive still. I don't really think we're going to be able to convey what we want to convey here with just text on its own, right? So this part here is about like the, you know, we're actually problem solvers, not just listeners. You know, when I'm reading this copy here that we took from the content outline, sometimes it's just a gut feeling. I feel like this would be better displayed with check marks as opposed to, you know, just body text, versus like with the first point, like no longer feel alone and talk to someone who listens and cares. That can be easily conveyed in body text. But for this, I feel like to really explain it, check marks would work better. So what I'm going to do is copy the check marks we have underneath over here and bring this up here. Just make sure it's all good. And basically we want to give a quick intro. So maybe something like, you know, we go beyond just listening. We help you move forward in life with tailored support so you can, and then kind of listing out 3 different things, right? So we have people want direction. We identify, okay, so like one of them could be identifying roadblocks. So it's like we identify what's really keeping you stuck. The next one here could be, you know, we basically help you take like practical steps to improve your current situation. And then the final one here could be something like getting clear on like the right path, getting clear on what must change long term, I think is good. And since we already have life up here, I think we can get rid of life over here. So yeah, this looks a lot better now. Okay, for the virtual session, so we have virtual therapy over here. So we want to basically just come up with 4 subpoints over here. I'm going to replace these with icons for now. So just replace this here with an icon. Place this with an icon. Okay, now virtual therapy, so they can do the appointments from their own time. So maybe the first one could be like available on weekends and late evenings, right? The next one here could be the fact that it's done over video and phone call, right? So done over video and phone call. And it's also 100% confidential, but now it's on 3 lines. Let me clean this up. Could say video or phone. If we cut this down to 6, H6, yeah, should be better. Phone. And kept 100% confidential. There we go, perfect. The next one could be around maybe like fast reply, so you can book it fast, right? Like book appointments fast. Book appointments fast with quick response times. And then the final one here could be you know, the fact that they don't have commutes, right? So you don't have to worry about commuting or working around a schedule. So enjoy the flexibility of no waiting rooms or commutes. Perfect. And then we'll come up with body copy for each of these. So come up with body copy, 1 sentence, make this more direct response. Okay, this is not working well. Let me try just writing it from scratch. So it's like something like acknowledging it. So it's like, we know life can get busy. You can enjoy flexible appointments as late as 10 p.m. 7 days per week. So we're trying not to repeat what's already in the headline. We're just trying to add additional context and reinforce it, right? So we're saying, you know, we're open as late as 10 p.m. 7 days per week. So we're trying to piggyback off of the weekends and late evenings. Okay, I'm going to try and do the rest of these in GPT and then plug them in. Okay, perfect. We should be all good. Now the next step is, I think we should move the how it works up and put that right up here. And now that I'm thinking about it, we're also missing the therapist section that I spoke about, where we want to show the actual therapist and, you know, show the modalities or the specializations. Like, this was a reference site that we found in the beginning of this video where, you know, we're showing the different therapists and we're showing like what they specialize in. This is really, really important. I'm surprised I forgot about this. I think also showing the quote as well is really important too. So let me think about how I want to do this. I think we want to show the therapist one by one in kind of like a slider format. So I'm thinking to use a section like this. This is what we did for our e-commerce client. I think this section could work great. So I'm going to bring this over here quickly and throw it in. And I think we'll put this like right after the how it works. So maybe like right over here, change this, and then I'm going to swap out each of these with people. So putting in the first therapist here and then put the name of the therapist. And then change this, get rid of this button. And so now instead of this button, we're going to have the modalities, right? Technically. So it could be like stress, and put this to regular bold, get rid of this gradient, change it to like a light pink, change this to like a black. Beautiful. And then change this to like 32 and then try to fit some more in here. So we have stress, right? And then we have like, let's say, I'll have to get this from Burhan. So for now, this is just going to be placeholder because I'm not sure about the therapist as well as their names. But he will be able to provide this later on, maybe even in the development phase. I don't think we have to really worry about it right now. So I'm just going to leave it at this for now and then just change this to therapist 1. And I'm going to do the rest here. And we're going to put in that quote, right? So just going to come up with a quote for a therapist. We're going to have to ask Burhan to get quotes from each of his therapists for this. So I'm going to throw this in here. So now I'm going to go ahead and swap out the photos here quickly and then just add in a couple more of these little pills just so that it looks more uniform. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, cool. Now the thing with the slider here, we're going to have quite a few therapists. So I also am trying to minimize space here. I don't like this 4 check marks just kind of sitting on its own. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the check marks underneath. I don't actually think we need this headline, like, because if you remember, we're going to combine hiring with the matching together, right? If that's what I mentioned earlier. So technically the therapist, explaining the therapist, that is the hiring part. So what I'm thinking to kill 2 birds with 1 stone is we get rid of this up here. We move this to the middle. Okay. So it's almost like basically replacing this, right? And then bringing this to the middle like this. And then underneath this, we can have the 4 boxes, right? Like kind of sitting here. And then I can add in the little arrows so that the user can scroll through each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, perfect. Copy here. So now let's just refine this a little bit. It's like, because now we're kind of combining hiring and matching. So feature is get matched with the right therapist. And then the benefit is that the person gets an instant connection, right? So who gets you instantly from day 1. And then let's add a bit of context here too. So I'm going to add a body text underneath this, just so it has a bit of context. And then kind of explain like what we're doing to get you matched, right? So it's kind of like what Burhan said over here, which was gender preference, culture preference, etc. So let me run this through GPT and then input this over here. Okay, cool. So I just made some changes. I got this body text. So we consider several factors, including preferences, personality, background, and goals to pair you with the perfect therapist. So basically just explaining how we get the right therapist. This part now looks a bit on its own. So what I'm going to do is add a little container to the background. So maybe something with a little container like this, and then add a little gray background, some sort of gray background. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I added this in here, and we're kind of missing like a slider thing over here. Like instead of just this is kind of sitting on its own, I'm going to add a little slider. Okay, perfect. There we go. Now I'm just going to make this a bit bigger so it's uniform and lined up with the bottom, and then just fix each of these. Okay, perfect. So now we have this framework. And again, this is all placeholder here. So I'll have to get Burhan to help me swap this out with his actual therapist. Like this is not even one of his therapists. It's just one of the testimonials. So yeah, we'll have to get him to help with that. But I'm going to start working on these headlines now. So this is going to be around the matching part, right? So for the matching, we have these different things here. So I would say like the first one would be, you know, flexible therapist that adapt to your personality. And then looking at the hiring process, he also mentioned people that work part-time, but not full-time. So that's another good one to put here. So we have full-time therapists who work exclusively for us. He also had mentioned that, you know, we have a very rigorous hiring process, I think. Work exclusively for us. We covered this one, the flexible treatment styles over here. We could talk about this, like therapists who prioritize ongoing support, customer care. So therapists who prioritize ongoing support. And then the next one could be something like this, like for every 50 we hire one. I like that. So let's change this to work with the best with a rigorous hiring process. And now just gonna do some small little tweaks here, like maybe make this black. The headlines are not standing out too much. I'm gonna change these headlines to black across the board. So variables and change this to black. Now it just stands out a bit more. And for the body text here, I'm going to also use GPT and quickly come up with the body text here. Okay, cool. So I have my body text, just kind of said the same prompt in GPT, like, you know, come up with high converting body copy that doesn't repeat the headline. So we have all of these over here. So now we're almost done, looks like. And since we moved this up, let's just finalize how it works. So, you know, step one would be tell us what you're going through. Step two would be like get matched with the right therapist, right? Step three would be join your online session, 100% private. These first three, by the way, I've just pulled from what we already wrote over here, which I showed in GPT. So, you know, it's basically just a replica of that. But now the final step here, step four, this one would be something like, you know, receive the ongoing check-ins part, right? So receive ongoing guidance and support. And I think visually speaking, what was the reference we found again? I'm gonna put this here, kind of clean up all this junk. Yeah, I like this where it's kind of center aligned. So we could try to do something similar where this is all in the center. And then instead of these like little circles, it would be like the steps, right? So maybe even it's like a little pill that says like step one, something like this. Add in a little thing here that says step one. And then auto layout this and then throw this in here, put it up and then change the color to pink, change this to white, and then make this a little thingy, and then just add a little bit of padding on the top here, just so it looks a bit clean. The only thing now is that we have to swap out these graphics later. I'm going to first add in all the steps here, and then I'm going to change the body text using the same you know, GPT prompt as well. Okay, perfect. So we have the steps here written in the copy. Just have to change this to be the middle. Now I just have to come out with these graphics later. Now for this rigorous hiring process, since we already wrote it above, we don't need this, right? Because we mentioned how we're combining this. So these four boxes are now over here. I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna start cleaning up all this stuff. Sorry guys, this is very messy, but this is showing you the real life, authentic way of building the page. Okay, final thing here looks like just this one. We check in between sessions. So I just need to come up with body copy for this. So let me use GPT for this, and I don't think we need these either. So gonna run this through GPT. Okay, perfect. So we have, you never forgotten once therapy begins. Our team checks in to see how things are going, offer guidance and help you make progress. And I think sequentially, I'm gonna actually move this over here. And I'm gonna add a little background here to this. because it kind of just separates the blocks, right? You want to go like dark block, light block, dark block, light block. So I think this flows. My only gripe right now is this part here, which goes from white to white. I don't want to change the color of this because it's too many colors. So we kind of need a visual separator. So what I like to do for this is use like a scrolling bar, which we've used for past projects, which actually looks identical to this one that we did for that e-commerce client. So it's like a little block here, and then we can change this to, let's say, like purple or pink rather. And just change this. We can get rid of the lines here. So it's literally just this, right? Like that. And the way that this would work, guys, is it would be like a scrolling bar, right? So this would like auto scroll from left to right. It's not really beneficial from a conversion perspective. I mean, it kind of is. It's more of just a visual thing. And more importantly, kind of just breaks up the section so it looks a bit nicer. So I'm going to swap this out with actual text, just like random stuff like feel calmer, feel more confident, etc. Okay, perfect. So now I have all these different things like less conflict, calmer mind, emotional relief. Again, you know, since it's going to auto scroll, not many people are really going to sit here and wait and see this. It's somewhat from a conversion standpoint, but more so just from a visual aesthetic standpoint to kind of separate the blocks. And I mean, one could argue that is also conversion oriented because it's allowing people to digest the information a lot better. Okay, I'm going to make a small change to the headlines. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do one quick once over on the layout, and then we're going to finalize the design. I think the only thing that I could be missing, I don't know how I forgot this actually. Yeah, so you know how we spoke about in the beginning, like in the discovery call around relationship problems and how, you know, Burhan was listing common quotes like we fight all the time, she or he never listens, we're on and off, she or he was abusive. This is really, really powerful. And like I said, there's no downside in having like a long page. Even though this section really does a strong job, I think what we're missing here is one more section like this that kind of like shows quotes. I think if we actually show real life quotes and somebody reads it and they're like, oh, wow, this is literally what's going through on in my mind, that's really going to work really, really well. So I'm thinking what we can do here is kind of like a 3-grid column, right? We can separate it. So it's like relationship and anxiety here. It's going to be, you know, relationships on the left, feeling overwhelmed and stress in the middle, and then maybe something like anxiety and depression, right? So we can kind of like segment it by 3 different buckets and then have like a little, you know, headline here, some sort of image, and then just have the quotes, you know, one by one underneath like this. So we did something similar for our dentist clients. So I already have this component here. So I'm going to copy this over to our page and just start clearing this stuff up. Okay, so it's going to be like feeling overwhelmed, and then maybe a little icon on the top. Change all the styles here. Then we're gonna have relationship struggles, and then we're gonna have anxiety and depression. And now underneath each of these, I want to list quotes, right? So I'm gonna pull like the quotes that Burhan gave under relationship problems here. So it's like, we fight all the time, you know, we're on and off, and so on. And I'm going to go and do this for each and every one. And I'm going to color code it. So instead of like this, I think what'll look nice here is like a little color coded thing, because otherwise it's kind of not good. In fact, I think one of the references had it where it was like color coded, like kind of like this, where they have like different colors. I like that. And there was another one that I was looking at as well that had like a color coded type of design. I think it was actually Talkspace. When you go here, yeah, see, they have these different colors here. I really like this. So I think we can do something like that as well. So I'm going to color code this, like, let's say orange, red, and you know, purple over here. Okay, beautiful. So using the help of GPT, was able to come up with these different quotes. So we have feeling overwhelmed, right? And then listing all the different things that people might be going through. Like, I can't relax, I feel constantly tense. We have relationship struggles, so I don't feel understood, we're constantly on and off. And then we have anxiety and depression, which is, you know, I have no energy, I feel stuck in a rut, etc. I really think this is going to work well. What we're going to look at in Microsoft Clarity after I launch this page is we might actually find more people convert when they look at this than when they read this copy here. So it's going to be an interesting kind of exercise. But I'm going to throw this over here. We just need a section. And I don't think we even need a headline, so it's kind of just like out in the open. And we can potentially put it in a little container. So let me go ahead and do that right now. Okay, beautiful. So here I have the 3 different blocks. I put it in a little block over here, just tighten up the spacing. And we just need to come up with the icons as the last step. Okay, just looking through the rest of the page now, I think we have all of the sections that we need. Now it's just a matter of the visual design, right? This is the final step. And then once we finalize the visual design, then we go on to mobile, which will make it a breeze. So I like to do desktop first. It just makes it easier to get the styling and stuff, and then you can easily transfer it to mobile. So yeah, we're good on the sections. Now it's just about the final touches. So I call this kind of the visual identity, where branding goes hand in hand with conversions. A lot of people conflate the two things. They think it's about having just good copy and not having good design, and that ugly pages can convert. I don't know where this notion came about, but some of the best, highest converting landing pages that we've ever built at our agency are multiple sections long. They have really, really great design, and they have great copy. That's the winning recipe, is having great design and great copy. So one of the ways to implement great design is through things like branding. And I like to think of it like visual identity, right? So like when I look at the Soul Thrillers like logo, they have like this little heart symbol, which I think we can like try to leverage so that the emojis, the icons, they can feel like very like playful. And even something like this, just brainstorming out loud here, like we could add a little rectangle to the back of this, right? Like that's a little thing that separates the website. It makes it feel very custom. And the thing is, good design just makes people feel like they trust the website. That's the main thing. Like they trust the page. So what I'm thinking is we can add a little, thing like over here, and maybe have it be like a light pink like this. And then if I put this on the page, it looks like this, but maybe we make this a bit darker. Could we use the light pink? Oh yeah, light pink works perfectly. Yeah, I think this is perfect. So what I'm going to do now is going to add this to all of the images. And while I do that as well, I'm going to start picking out the different, I'm going to pick out better images. Like I said, these were placeholder. I'm going to find the images on, I use Pexels for this, woman smiling, working, right? You get really good photos from here. It takes a lot of searching, so I'm going to find a couple photos and then report back once the pink, background's added, as well as the photos as well. Okay, cool. So what I've done now is I've added in these little pink containers. I've swapped out the images as well. And I've also made the text a little bit bigger too, because this newsreader font that I'm using right now tends to be a little bit on the smaller side. So I bumped up the fonts a little bit. But now I think it's coming across really well. So you can see we have these images. These were pulled from Pexels. And they don't come across as like stock imagery, right? It comes across as like very natural and unique because, they're not like staring directly at the camera, right? Or same with this one here. And we're going to add custom graphics on top of this to make it look even more unique. You can see here I also added in this little pink background, and over here as well, and then swapped out this image. Like, you want to always try to relate the image to what you're talking about. So we're talking about checking in between sessions. So naturally we want to show a person on the phone, right? Which kind of implies that we're checking in between sessions. So final thing now, looks like we have the icons left, and part of the visual identity. What I really like to do on certain websites is, especially when it's more emotional in nature, like the offer is more emotional, I like to highlight certain words in specific areas. So I like to highlight the parts of the text for specific headlines to kind of emphasize what we're trying to say. So for example, what I'm thinking over here is like we could add a little pill in the background that basically lives behind this, right? And then it's going to be underneath the background here, and then change this to a different color, to maybe like the light pink, and then add a little design onto this, right? So it comes across as rounded. Yeah, like that. So yeah, this looks really, really nice now, right? Like it feels like we're emphasizing a specific word. We show the person looking towards the text, and now we're emphasizing the capable handling life part as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this for every single section now. Okay, so as you can see here, now we have the pink highlight added in a bunch of different spots, which looks really nice. Just adding it wherever it's applicable, and really has come together. So now the final thing is just the icons from a visual perspective. So I'm gonna speed run through this part here and just basically create the icons. I don't really create icons from scratch. I just kind of use Iconify in Figma. And so like, for example, just show a couple examples here. Like if we're doing available on weekends of late evenings, I might use like a calendar. So I'll search up like a calendar, and then throw this in here, and maybe just use a little kind of pink, purplish pink design. I think actually, what would look really nice is like a darkish purple as the outline here. Yeah, something like that. That's a really nice visual identity. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for all of the different icons right now. Perfect. So all the icons are in now. We have these ones here. We have these ones here, which I really liked. I created these through GPT, just kind of put in a prompt, like create something that looks a bit custom, kind of fits our visual identity. So really, really like these ones here. And then I also have these, and then these ones over here. So all the icons are in place. Now, the final thing is the images. So for some of these images, we want to kind of create a custom graphic on top of them. Like for example, for the, for the call, like we check in, we'd want to create like a little graphic on top of this, like showing somebody calling, like a conversation with someone, kind of like what we did for our online course client, where we show like a visual of the, online format, or like congrats, you're certified, or like a little graphic of a before and after conversation, like this one we did for education clients. So going to kind of create like a visual identity like that for these different sections. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, perfect. So I made a bunch of changes here, just kind of speed run through it. For the stats up here, kind of put it in this white box, so it's a lot more cleaner. And then for the covered by insurance, I combined it into this pink box here, which I think looks a lot cleaner for the above the fold, right? And then we have this pain point section, which is the same. This part's the same. Used ChatGPT to come up with kind of like an AI image of showing like a little virtual, screen. So it implies that it's actually virtual. For this one, I just kind of created this graphic through GPT to complement the text of "We guide you on the right path." So that was for this image. This took forever. Created all of these from scratch. So this is fully from scratch, right? Where basically, step one, tell us what you're going through. So we have what has been difficult, how are you feeling, what are you looking for? Then for get matched with the right therapist. So kind of showing like a little like web design, and got this inspiration from GPT, and then I manually created this. Join your online session. Again, this is through GPT. And then this one here is kind of a manual design. Pulled this from this prospect. We did their landing page. So kind of a similar thing, like call incoming and then showing the photos of people, and kind of similar over here too. So call incoming. And yeah, so this part took forever. I think, and then this one here, so this was like the we check in, so kind of just showing a little graphic like care team, hey Sophia, just checking in, how have things been this week? So just kind of adding a bit of branding and identity to the page to make it come together. We never covered the footer here. For the footer, we're just going to end up using the same footer from the client's existing site. Now desktop is pretty much finalized and we have everything in place. So now it's a matter of translating this to mobile. And for mobile, it's not like that complicated. It's basically just taking exactly what we have and moving it over, because a lot of the sections that we've created is from previous designs or previous sections that we built for other clients. We already have the mobile components for those, right? So I'm going to kind of speed run through building the mobile page, and then I'm going to show you the result at the very end, and show you how we kind of look at mobile a bit differently. But everything will just kind of stack on top of one another at the end of the day. But some things like this, for example, might be scrolling, and I'm going to show you like what we expose up front versus what we don't expose up front. So let me go ahead and create the mobile design right now. Okay, perfect. So my body hurts, but after a while, finally finished the mobile section of the page. So yeah, like I said, for the reason it's very easy for me to do this is because again, of the template that I mentioned towards the beginning of the video, where we have like a huge repository of sections and designs from all of the different pages that we built. So for example, for this section over here on desktop, as you recall, this was a copy of this section that we've done for another client, which we've A/B tested and seen good success with. So the mobile component is already over here. So it's just a matter of bringing over that design and then just changing like the font styling, the colors and stuff like that, right? So pretty simple to do. One thing that I, was considering doing is like always trying to look at the above the fold. So this is going to happen once we actually develop the page. We're going to get a better idea of what fits above the fold and what doesn't, and we might need to change direction based on that. But overall, this above the fold is effectively just a copy of this one, right? Because it's the same thing, and everything just kind of stacks on top. It's not kind of rocket science. So phone number, you have the phone number here. or sorry, the book console button and logo, these stack up, and then you have this. So when we develop the page, the goal will be to try to fit at least up until the check marks, if not the stats above the fold, right? Because I kind of talk in my videos about trying to fit 2 pieces of social proof above the fold. In order to do that though, we might have to cut out this and just have 2 rows. And I think then we can probably fit it in, but we'll see once we start developing. Some other important things I want to go through. So these are the stats here. This is the logo. So this will scroll through. This part here, again, I've done this section so many times that I can just, pull from previous templates. And again, if you want to get access to those templates, link in the description below. This part here, so it just kind of stacks on top, right? It's pretty simple. You want to make it scannable, readable. So it's like 18 pixel font size, very easy to read and not too complicated, and just kind of stacks on top. For this part here, so I put this in a carousel because the page gets quite long if this is all laid out in the open. And, if somebody resonates with these different points, then they would be inclined to click on the second and third tab. So it's kind of like a tab design where you can scroll through and click the second or third tab, or you can just like scroll through the pagination, right? That's how I've kind of designed it here. And then you get to the second one and the third one. Now for social proof, so very important thing, a lot of people put the social proof in a carousel or slider on mobile. This is a really big mistake because you want your most important sections to not be hidden in a carousel. The issue with these carousels is that statistically they have less than a 1% engagement rate. So less than 1% of people on average will even click on these paginations in the first place. So you have to be intelligent about it. You want to put your most important sections laid out in the open, right? You don't want to hide that in a carousel. But for less important sections that are not as critical, or you can get away with hiding it, you can put those in carousels. Basically, you want to follow this notion that whatever is hidden will not get seen, right? Just want it. That's like a safe assumption, safe kind of premise. So with the social proof, we know historically, based on A/B tests, based on data, based on human psychology, that people want to see social proof, right? They want to see what other people are saying. Why would we hide this on mobile? Why would we show this in a slider? We want to show this up front. However, we have 9 reviews on desktop, but on mobile, what we typically do is we truncate that to the top like 5 or 6 reviews. So when you see on the mobile design, I've only kept the top 5 to 6, right? And hidden the rest. And the rest is just simple, just kind of stacks up on top. It's nothing complicated. So for example, this value prop over here, which is section on the left, image on the right, the image goes on top and the text goes underneath. And it's really beautiful, just kind of stacks on top. Icons, again, I don't want to hide these in carousels because I want people to see this information, right? How it works, I don't want to hide it because I want people to see it, because when people scroll, they just kind of scroll like this. They're not really swiping and stuff, right? You're making people go vertical and then horizontal. So you have to be conscious about where you're using carousels, which is what I've done here. So I've shown how it works up front. Now for the therapist, this is a good example where we have like 10 plus therapists. The page is going to be gigantously long if it's all vertically stacked. So here, a carousel makes sense where it's not the end of the world if someone doesn't see all of our therapists, right? That's not the end of the world. So that's an example of where I'm being conscious about carousels. Same thing over here, like the matching part. At this point in the page, they're kind of fatigued, right? So we can put this in a carousel here. This is a value prop. This is the social proof reviews. Now again, right? For this social proof, we're hiding it here because these are videos. But for the first piece of social proof up here, this is not being hidden in the carousel. So you have to just kind of pick your battles and be smart about where you're doing it. Typically towards the top of the page, as a general idea, you want to use less carousels. Towards the bottom of the page, you want to use more. And we have social proof, we have the FAQs, and then we have the form section, and then we have the footer. So yeah, this is kind of the mobile design in a nutshell. And this kind of, just shows you like how everything would look visually. Again, it's way easier when you have access to the templates because you can just see like what desktop looks like and what mobile looks like. Now that the homepage is concluded, we just have a couple more things to wrap up before we start development. The first thing is we're going to want to have a contact page because like I said earlier in this video, that all the book free console buttons are going to link to a contact page. So it's not going to be like that complicated. Basically just duplicate this. We're going to have the contact form. For contact pages, what I do is I have the form at the top, right? I have social proof. So form at the top here, right? And what I'm going to do is add in our social proof, right? So whenever you look at a high converting contact page, you typically have social proof, you have your form, and I'm actually going to swap this around. So I'm going to make this white. I'm going to change the form to pink. So it's a bit easier to see. And I'm just going to add a border. Okay, perfect. Oh, how did this get here? Everything else, the layout will be the same. And then once somebody gets to the contact page, where a lot of people mess up is they just think of putting a form and that's it. You want to kind of think in the lens that once somebody makes it to the contact, they're ready to give their information, but sometimes they have something that prevents them from getting over the edge to convert, right? They have something that creeps up in the back of their mind. They're like, should I give my information today? They have different fear and uncertainty around reaching out. And so we want to kind of have a couple sections here that are going to be critical. This is what we normally do for contact pages. So we're not just going to have a form. We're going to put in our FAQs for sure, because once somebody reaches a contact page, they're going to have some FAQs. So this helps to reduce fear and uncertainty, right, around reaching out. We're also going to want to put our social proof here as well, because, you know, again, we want to push people over the edge to convert. So we want to put the reviews over here. And then the final step, final thing I would add here potentially would be the how it works, right? So that they have a clear idea of what is next, right? So we're kind of covering all of our bases here. We're showing the social proof so that they feel trust, right? If they're feeling hesitancy around completing the action, we have the how it works. So logistically, they feel, you know, logistically sound, like they know exactly what's going to happen. And then we're reducing fear and uncertainty by addressing their frequently asked questions up front. Okay. And then the final page that we have is going to be the thank you page. So this is not like that important. It is kind of important because it kind of positions people correctly, like once they fill out the form. So I would probably just like go with the layout. Like I'll just kind of create it here for the thank you page. We can maybe just use these, throw this over here, right? And then like center line all of this, get rid of this. Just kind of give them a step. Like a lot of people will just put on the thank you page, like, thank you for reaching out. Someone will be in touch, right? You know, if you create a video or something, it's a lot better, but I don't think we have one available. So, you know, I would put photos here, you know, of the therapist potentially. Right now, this is the clients, not the therapist. And then some sort of message like, we've received your submission. Our team will call you shortly. Right. And then what we can do, we can have, again, FAQs over here just in case they didn't see it. Right. So prior to your call, here are some answers to your frequently asked questions. And then, like I said, I would add a video. I always like to do that, of what to expect. So it's like your founder or someone on your leadership team can film a little video. You know, maybe you just add it like right underneath here. So just imagine that this, you know, red block is like a little video that says like what to expect. You know, someone's going to call you, someone's going to do this, and give them an idea of what they can expect on the call itself. Really helps to orient the user. And this helps with the close rate part of things. Right. And that's pretty much it. Right. And then you just have your social proof underneath to kind of close it off. So yeah, now we have all of the pages done, ready to go in Figma in prototype mode. And now we're going to actually develop the pages live onto the website platform. Now, the great thing is that the current website right now as it stands is currently on Framer, which integrates really, really nicely with Figma, because we can just seamlessly carry over Figma designs to Framer. So that is what we're going to use. So basically, I'm logged in here to the account, and this is the website right here. And I'm going to show you how to basically bring this over to Framer. So we have the pages on the left-hand side. So I'm going to click on plus. I'm going to add a new page. We'll just call it new landing page test. And now what we're going to do is basically bring over our section. So within Figma, you have a plugin called Figma to HTML with Framer, right? So you just simply click on manage plugins, and then you search up Figma to HTML with Framer. It's going to show up here. And then once you click this, right, you basically select your layer. You can copy that layer, and then you can bring it over to Framer very seamlessly, right? So I basically changed my frame over here to 1440 inside of Framer so that it simply matches the frame within here, which is 1440 as well. So I set this to 1440, and now what we're going to do is basically drag this out, and I'm going to click Figma to HTML with Framer. You can do the whole page. I've tried it before, but it doesn't render that well. So I prefer to do it section by section just to be safe. So I'm going to copy this to clipboard, and I'll just put this back in here. And now I just click Control V or Command V, depending on Mac or Windows, and it should load into here just like that, right? And now if we click Publish, just to show you what this looks like, and click Update, and we pull up Open Link. So you can see how it shows up here, right? But it's a little bit misconfigured, so we're going to fix this eventually. The reason it's showing misconfigured is simply just because of a couple settings. So the width here, you have to set this outer frame to set it to fill. Now, in order to set it to fill, you have to first set the outer frame to fill as well. So what I like to do is basically we have to first create like a inner frame here. So this is going to be our inner frame. So we'll call it 1440, right? And then now if we try to bring this over here, we can bring it up, Shift A. So I just click Shift A on my keyboard, and that puts it into a stack, right? Now it's going to be easy to add in additional sections. So if I put this back over here and I add this up there, now if we try to add the next section on our list, so we have this one over here, I'm going to drag it out, put it here, right click Figma HTML with Framer, copy to keyboard, and then click on this whole entire thing and click paste. So it's going to bring this here. And now we just have to drag this to where we want it to go, which is here, right? And now there's a couple settings. So on the overall frame, I'm going to click on fit content. So it's going to fit the content within. And now if I go to layers over here and I click on stack, I want this to also be fit content, right? And I want this, the width, to be set to fill, right? And then all these inner frames should also be set to fill. So this width, now you can see we can set it to fill. So I set this to fill, and then I'm going to set this guy to fill as well. And now if we go and click on publish, it should render properly. So let's see. So there you go, right? Now it shows it perfectly, exactly per Figma, right? And this is all text. Really, really simple, right? And really seamless. That's the beauty of Framer, but of course it's just not as robust as something like WordPress in my opinion. But for speedrunning video comes in handy, so I can't complain about that. So now we're gonna just go through, do the rest of these. So this one here, I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna click Figma to HTML and I'm gonna click copy to keyboard and let's copy this in. Beautiful. So this pink part here, the highlight, we're going to have to do this through another method. It's not going to show up here properly. So I'm going to just remove this for now. I think it's over here. So delete it. Looks like there's some weird gap between all these items. Yeah, there's a gap of 10. I'll just get rid of that. So now let's just check it. As I'm adding all of these in, I'm just going to keep checking periodically just to make sure. Beautiful, easy peasy. And beautiful, easy peasy. And go back here, add my next section. So we have this. We go Figma to HTML, click copy. So this one here is appearing a little bit messed up. I think it's because it's something over here. These are all set to hug. So let's just set this to hug and see what's giving the trouble here. I'm not sure. Okay, now let's try this again. So right click, plugins, Figma, copy. Oh, it's because of the little icon thing. Oh, it's the spacing. Okay, so this should be 16. Set this to hug. Okay, now we should be good. Let's copy this over here. Bring each of these up, and now then we have this section here. So this slider is going to be, we're going to have to do this separately in Framer after the fact. But let's see what we can do right now with this. So actually for this one, I'm going to have to remove the little arrows for now. So I'm just going to put this off to the side and get rid of the arrows. So get rid of this. Perfect. Copy this. Okay, cool. So I finished adding in all of the sections for our design here, as you can see. The next step is going to be, the small stuff. So, we have in our Figma file, we have like these little highlights. I'll show you how to do that. And then we also have to hook up this slider and also these arrows. It's going to take a little bit of time, which is kind of, it's more of a Framer thing. So, I'm going to kind of speed run through it. I'm not going to bore you with me creating all of the different people, but the page itself is pretty much ready to go, as you can see here for desktop specifically. So now it's just a matter of adding in those things. So I'm going to go ahead and add in all of these additional extras to kind of close out the desktop experience for Framer. Okay, awesome. So I finished the page here in Framer for desktop. We've added in the highlights here, and then I've also added in some updated logos from Burhan. These are the scrolling logos for the insurance section. I have added in the hover effects for each of the buttons because they're basically just utilizing pre-existing components and sections. And then for the slider here, I basically created this sort of animation here. Yeah, basically just linked up everything, all the buttons, added the form. So let's give it a quick test, see what it looks like for desktop, and we're going to open it up here. Okay, so it looks really great on desktop. Really nice, just like the Figma, right? Looks good. And then this is what the slider looks like. So you can see it in action, right? And then this is the hover effect on the buttons. because it's using an existing component. This is what the drop downs look like as well. So set those up. And then we have the form on the right hand side. I just added in one field because Burhan wants to show the price just to kind of dequalify people. This is a very important thing just to kind of get rid of the spam people and the, you know, low quality leads. We always like to add a price filter, especially with meta ads, because otherwise you just get a lot of low quality people come through your funnel. But yeah, I mean, the page came out really nice for desktop. So we're in a good spot here. Now it's just a matter of mobile. And actually I have animations disabled on my computer. So let me enable that just so you can see what the animations look like. So this is the auto scroll effect, right? And then this over here is the auto scrolling text, right? So this is what it looks like over here. Beautiful. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is create the mobile design. Okay, so for the mobile design, it's very similar process. We're going to basically click on plus over here. We're going to click on phone. And it's going to add another breakpoint. Now, the issue with the phone version is it's going to like inherit the desktop version, but I don't like this about Framer. So what I'm going to do personally is I'm just going to get rid of all of these because I don't want to recreate it from scratch. I already have a mobile design, right? That I just want to kind of carry over and bring over. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these. Can I just delete it like this? No, that is not good. I have to do it one by one. So I'm going to delete each of these. Okay, cool. So now we have a fresh phone version. And what we're going to do here is we're going to copy over our sections. Now, the tricky thing with the phone version is you have to kind of create like an outer frame. So what I do, I don't know if this is best practice, to be honest, in Framer. I'm by no means a Framer expert, but you're going to create a frame over here, click 390. And then you have like an outer frame, right? And then I basically would take this section here. So I'm going to copy this component, click on Figma to HTML to Framer, click on copy to clipboard, and then I'm going to click here and click Control V. So it's going to beautifully paste it in. I'm going to click on this frame and click on fit content. So it extends, right? And then I'm going to throw this in here. And now it's inside. And then I'm going to top align this. So I'm going to get rid of this spacing and get rid of this bottom. So it's perfectly aligned, right? And so now if we just look at the page right now as it stands, if you look on mobile, it's completely messed up, right? On iPhone 12. Now let's see if we publish this, what it looks like. So let's give it a quick whirl. Beautiful. Okay, so iPhone 12 Pro, which is 390, this is what it looks like. Now, this is what I was trying to say earlier, where once I start development, I might start making a couple tweaks. So what I'm not too happy about here is like this line is basically going to a fourth line. So 390 pixels is the most common size. I literally optimize stuff down to the pixels a lot of the times, right? So, and if you look at any of our websites, the only time when it's not optimized to the pixel is when clients go and make a bunch of changes and make things look, not good again. So that is not in my domain, but this over here can easily fit into 3 lines. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut down and just see if I right click. And, this is where I really try to optimize down to the pixel. We could probably cut this down to 31 or 32 pixels. I'll go with 31 just to be safe. And that's going to bring that down 1 line. And then we're going to do another test here. So I'm going to check and I'm going to cut this down to 31. 31, okay. And click publish. Let's see what that looks like here. Just give it a quick whirl. Okay, beautiful. So now it's into 1 line, right? Now, let's go ahead and add in our social proof as well. So we have this social proof over here. So copy to clipboard. And let's go ahead and do the same thing. So create a frame, 390, add this in, go here, fit to content, and then throw this guy in here. And let's add in the social proof as well. We're going to have to add in the scroll effect later, but for now, let's just add this in. Okay, 390, go here, click here, fit. Okay, and there's some weird space here. Get rid of that space. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add in the navigation as the final step. Do it separately. So we have this one first. So go here, 390, add this here, click on fit, shoot, there we go. Okay, and now the phone number. Create this separately. Okay, 390. Add it in, then for content, go here, and then click publish. Okay, so now let's see what this looks like. Okay, so we have the phone number, we have the book free consult, we have the photo above the fold, we have the body text, and then we have the book free consult button. So now this is where like I try to hyper optimize, right? So what I'm thinking right now is like I want to try to fit the logos above the fold, not the logo, sorry, the stats above the fold, if possible. At the very least, fit the check marks above the fold, right? Because there's no need. So I think like now that I'm looking at it on mobile, this image here is adding a lot of extra bloat. I think we can just cut out a row, and by cutting out a row, we can probably cut this down to fit more above the fold as much as possible. So I'm going to try and give that a try. I'm going to take this over here, click Figma to HTML, give it a copy, and let's go and throw that guy in there. So we got width, we got 390, we got this, and then let's do fit. We need to change this to 31 pixels. Okay, now let's try to add this. Get rid of this, get rid of this. There's still some empty space here. Just going to take care of that. Get rid of this gap. Okay, let's try and give it a publish. Let's see what it does. This is where like you really got to hyper optimize, right? So this, we have 3 now. Let's see. Yeah, much better, right? Much better. So now it's a lot more compact. It's not super overwhelming. We can see the headline. We can see the social proof. I think we can even like get a bit of the stats showing here. You know, we can probably decrease this bottom padding like a little bit. Well, actually, the bottom padding is not properly set right now. There's like this weird thing over here. So that is where the extra padding is coming from. Set this to 12. Let's see. Slightly. Just give it a bit of breathing room. And then if we also cut this down a little bit, we can cut down the padding here. So, you know, I think we can make the top like 8 and the bottom like 8 and probably decrease the size of this button slightly, right? This is like literally so minuscule, but I want to show you like how important it is to, you know, optimize down to the pixel, because a lot of people will just go and do a design in Figma and then their final website will literally look nothing like the Figma. And I like to try to keep the Figma again as close as possible. The only instance where my Figma doesn't look like the final website is when the client goes and makes changes. Outside of that, if I'm doing it, if my team is doing it, we really try to get it down to the pixel because it makes all the difference. So there we go. Now this looks a lot better. We have the headline, body text, a bit of the stats, a bit of the check marks. I think we can still cut down a little bit, make a couple more optimizations. Like I think we can tighten the spacing between this and this. I think we can also potentially cut down the body text to even 3 lines. So let me see if I can go do that right now. So for mobile specifically, we can maybe get rid of genuinely listens and cares, guides you, and checks in often. Let's try this and see how this looks. If this gets us to 3 lines, then that would be great. And then we can even tighten the spacing between this and this. Make this like 4. Give it a bit more breathing room. 8 should be fine. Let's see what that looks like. So much better. Yeah. And any more than this, I mean, now we're really getting into the territory of like, you know, it being a bit too overwhelming. You know, this view right here, like what you'll see over here, it looks like there's a lot going on. The inspect element view is not always the best. You have to sometimes verify it on your phone. So once this is all said and done, I will probably check it on my phone, make sure it looks good, and, you know, QA that way, right? You can't just QA through inspect element, but more or less you kind of get the gist of it. We're trying to squeeze as much above the fold without trying to make it overwhelming, right? So you can see how we've kind of done those minor optimizations. Now I'm going to bring over all of the remaining sections from our template one by one, and then I will report back once the mobile screens are done. So we're going to start here. We're going to bring this over. So we're going to bring this over. So 390. Okay, perfect. So we finished the mobile page here. Looks really good. I think everything is in place. Just have to link all of the items here and just link it properly for the scrolling logos and stuff because we have a separate design for mobile. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then publish the page live, add in the little, you know, highlight icons, and then we will take a look at the final page. Okay, perfect. So here is the link to the page. So this is the desktop version over here, right? So basically what we had before, everything looks beautiful and just like the Figma. And then when we switch to mobile view over here, right, we have everything kind of compact, really nice. Above the fold, we have the scrolling logos, we have the stats, we have the pain point section, and then we have this section over here. So you can see the user can scroll through, right? Really beautiful. We have the social proof, right? All kind of stacked up. Then we have the value propositions, we have the scrolling logos, we have more value props, to how it works, which came out really nice. This part here, which is the therapist, right? And I got Burhan's help here to just add in the individual therapist because there's, you know, more than one. So we have all of the therapists over here, and then we have their specialties as well. Then we have this part on mobile, go back here. We have it all kind of stack up, and then we have the form at the bottom, right? So pretty awesome, came out really well, pretty happy with it. Now I think the only thing left is the contact page, and then we have the thank you page as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create those quickly, and then we're going to go through the entire flow to see how it all goes and see how it all works. Okay, cool. So contact page is all done now. Let's go ahead and publish this and take a look. Okay, so here we are. Okay, perfect. Looks good. Awesome. FAQs. And now we just have the thank you page. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. Okay, perfect. So we have the thank you page ready to go. So let's take a look at what this looks like as well. Go ahead and publish this and give this a refresh. Okay, beautiful. So we have the we've received your submission, the FAQs, and the social proof over here, and then the footer. So now let's go through the entire flow step by step, right? Because we have all the pages done. People start over here, right? And then basically, like I said, they can either click on the phone number, right? Which will, open up the phone. And on mobile in particular, right? The phone number and the CTA button are sticky, right? So they stick with you as you scroll down throughout the page. You can try putting this on the bottom as well. I've seen mixed results. There's no one that's better than the other. It really depends on the audience and stuff. If you have A/B test data to support that bottom works better, by all means you can do that, but I have not seen any substantial difference, right? So this is the whole flow, and then you click on book free consult and you get taken to the contact page, right? So I'll just show that again. So you go here, you click book free consult, and you get taken here. Okay, so now let's try to fill out the form here. So I'm going to put in my full name, or Sanwarwala. For email, just put test@gmail.com, and phone number 123-123-1234. Yes, I understand this message, right? So this is the full contact page, and then you can click book free consult. Now, the question some people might have is, what do these buttons do? Because I'm already on the contact page. So if you click this, it scrolls you back up to the top, right? So it's kind of sucking people back in, right? It brings you back up here. So once you click book free consult, we'll click book, and boom, right? As soon as I click book free consult, it takes me to the thank you page. So this is the entire flow end to end. I'm really happy with how the page came out, considering it was on such a time crunch as well. But that's a good thing about Figma. It really helps you map out everything, and specifically when you follow the process that I've outlined, where you come up with the content, you come up with the offer, and then you focus everything around that offer and content. Makes your life way easier, especially when you have a huge repository of pages. As you saw, like I just had pre-existing sections from previous work, and that's the beauty. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you already know something works, you already have it proven, and when you've done lots of A/B tests like I have, you just have a general inclination and gut feeling of what works and what doesn't, right? And this is what I try to explain to clients who are under the, let's say, 50,000 to 80,000 visitors per month mark. Like if they get less than that and they get less than 500 conversions per month, you really don't have to tinker that much with your landing page. Like you're not at the point where you've hit a wall. If you have like 1,000 visitors to your website, don't have to do A/B tests. You can't do A/B tests. You don't have enough data. The only thing you should be doing is focusing on building a high converting page based on best practices and things that work. And the only way you can do that is by working with someone who knows what they're doing and has actually gone through the rigors and A/B tested pages with clients who get that high traffic and get the high conversions and measure based on that. So that's really the only thing you should be focusing on, is getting your page to convert as high, and then your sole focus thereafter should be getting high quality traffic to your landing page, right? That's what I always tell clients is, make sure your foundation is good first, but then your sole goal after should be focusing on getting traffic. You really don't have to make that many tweaks to your page until you get to those higher traffic numbers, those higher conversion numbers, because at that point, then you have enough data to actually A/B test. Prior to then, you don't, right? And that's always a difficult thing for people to understand. Now, the final step here is to actually run this as a test. With that whole spiel I just gave, Burhan right now is spending $700 to $1,000 per day. He wants to scale up his ad spend. He, doesn't have enough traffic to really run a split test in the traditional sense. So what we're going to end up doing is running the split test in his ad campaigns itself. Basically, when I say split test, I mean he's going to set it up as a separate campaign, and then we're going to measure the results based on that. Because remember, our goal here is not leads. It's not the lowest CPLs. I really, really don't care about that. My only goal is quality of leads, close rate, revenue through the door as a direct byproduct of this landing page. Does it speak to people? Does it hit on what they care about, what they don't care about? Does it disqualify bad fits? And does it get people to actually show up on the calls, actually book a session, and get the highest quality people possible, which in turn results in more revenue? That's all I care about, nothing else, right? So I don't even want to care too much about the comparison with conversion rate, because his quiz converts at 6.8%. That's already really good. But it's with the caveat that the conversions are really bad, right? Like the leads are not good. So my goal with this is to get good leads and good revenue. So I'm going to report back in about a week or so. We're going to set it up in his Facebook ad account and set it up under like another, ad campaign, basically, with the same traffic, exact same ad material, same ad creative. Nothing else is going to change. The only thing that's going to change is the destination, which is to this page instead of the quiz funnel. And I'm going to report back in a week or so. We're going to look through the data. We're going to look through all of the different metrics, and then we're going to kind of look at it before and after and see, the improvement across the board, across all of the different KPIs. So I'll see you in about a week or so. Awesome. So it's been a couple of weeks since we launched the landing page. So I actually have a call with Burhan in about 20 or 30 minutes or so, and we're going to kind of go through the results with him, get his thoughts and perspective as to how the page has been performing. Obviously, I've been looking at the page myself, as the ads have been running, just to see performance, make sure nothing has kind of dropped off and performance is all good. But just want to get his perspective on the sales side as to how the calls have been going, what's the quality of leads, kind of getting a bit more of the depth beneath the numbers, so to say, that we can't really get just by looking at the dashboard of Facebook Ads Manager itself. So how's the landing page performing? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, the landing page compared to the quiz is night and day. The thing with the quiz is that, like, because people think they're going to get something out of the quiz, like some kind of result or recommendation or something, they'll fill out their contact information with fake information, or they'll checkbox if they can afford the service with the ranges we provided, even though they can't, just to see if there's some kind of result. So the difference with landing page is that they know what they're opting into. So it's very clear the benefits are there. So they see it, they decide right away whether they want it or not, and they're convinced by some of the concerns that they have. And so we haven't had a single spam lead, and pretty happy with the cost per result as well.
Yep.
The issue is that, like, Meta takes a few days to learn, but the leads have been really high quality.
So you haven't got a single spam lead? Like, because with the quiz you were
Not
getting
from that.
more. Yeah.
The quiz we're getting, I think, like on an average week, like 19 to 25% spam is a pretty hefty percentage.
Okay.
Whereas, like, there's no reason to submit the landing page for spam, right? So, and people, the other thing is we, like, this is smaller, but people will give us their last name as well on the landing page. But on the quiz, they don't actually give us their last name. So we have to, as a regulatory thing, we have to collect last name. And so we're a lot more compliant now because we have that right from the beginning, instead of like asking for it and then not getting it or misspelling it. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but in healthcare, it's a pretty big deal. I think the interesting thing is, like, people know they're in pain. They want to express they're in pain, but they don't necessarily want to do something about it like right this minute. So them submitting a form is like them kind of putting a deposit into the future. Like, hey, I'm acknowledging I want to do something about it, and I'd like your help, but maybe not right now. And it's been helpful because we can get them the next day, right, or later in that week when we're eventually able to reach them, and they say, thank you so much for following up. So the other thing is the form has been really, I know we were talking about, like, do we make it a type form or do we do something else? But I think we did good on keeping it simpler and leaving more space on the screen for those proof points and social proof.
And you remove the price as well, right? Like, to just get more volume.
Yeah, I think the tough part is, like, we want people, because we can service people who can't afford the service. We have people who can see people free for as low as like $40, and we want to be accessible. So we'd rather filter for people who are in pain and need help compared to, like, getting, because otherwise what happens is, like, sometimes people who need the help but maybe can't afford the stated range will just not reach out in the first place. Or people who can afford it but aren't in pain, who aren't going to convert anyway. So we'd rather just get the volume in.
How's the like the show up? Because I mean, if they're not coming for an appointment, like, you're still calling them, but do you find like less confusion? Because I remember before you were saying, like, with the quiz, like, people just fill out a quiz, but they're not actually like expecting to be sold to, basically, right?
Well, we don't call it selling, we call it helping. But I think that the tough part is when you fill out a quiz, you don't really know what the natural next step is until, like, maybe the very last screen. Whereas these people, when you reach them, they're like, oh yeah, like, I've been meaning to book a consult. So it's way easier on the booking side of things as well, where it doesn't feel as invasive, perhaps, or the quiz is good at bringing out the pain, which is great. But the issue is it can feel to some people kind of like a bait and switch in a way, like, I thought it was a quiz, etc. But with the landing page, it's fantastic because they know exactly what they're getting.
What's your actual LTV? Have you ever measured it? Like,
the LTV is hard. I think we have. So our average number of sessions that someone comes to is like 8. So it's not actually 8. It's like there's a few people who drop off at like the 1 or 2 mark. And there's a lot of people who come to like 20, 30, etc. But it averages out to around 8. So we got to get a little bit more dialed in our metrics. The issue is that, like, the metrics differ quite heavily based on which therapist you assign people to. A therapist not retaining people isn't necessarily a problem because they might just be really good at helping people fast. So it's not a bad thing, but it's hard sometimes from both when you're looking at something as a business and as a healthcare service business, right? So you don't necessarily want people to stay longer than they need. But but kind of like zooming out, as long as our cost per result is of non-spam leads is in the $60, $70 range, where we're great. The tough part is when that starts including spam, etc. If you look at our historic quiz results, really, really, like, efficient cost per lead, to be honest. It's just that, like, the lead intent is so important for us.
Exactly.
And we need high intent.
That's what I was gonna say, because, like, even when I was doing the page, like, I was like showing the Facebook Ads Manager and showing like how the cost per lead is like pretty low. Like, it was like $25-$30, right? Like, for the quiz funnel. But then it's like, how many people are you actually closing out of that? That's the big metric. So just to get an idea, like, with the quiz, do you know what your close rate was in the quiz? I mean, we don't have much data, but
we get on the between quiz submission to of non-spam leads, we would get 35% of those to book a consult. But then of those, depending on the month, the consult to convert client conversion is between 30% to 45%. At scale, it's been way closer to the 30% for us, just because early on when you're not spending a ton of meta, it shows it to the best fit prospects. But hopefully with the with the landing page, we're seeing a higher number.
Yeah.
So hopefully that maintains at scale.
Yeah.
But I think part of that is just also people knowing what they're getting into. A lot of people, when they submit a quiz online, they're not learning anything about the actual company. So the quiz is really good at talking about the person looking at it. So they feel that they're in pain and they realize they need help, but what doesn't get answered is, I need help with these guys, right? Or this company or this, what the landing page does really well is it says, we can help you. And this is how others like you have benefited from this in the past with problems you may identify with. And that's been very good, where they're coming into it with a little bit of trust. With the quiz, sometimes people would ask, what is soul filler therapy? I've never heard of you guys. Can you send me your website? And then, and it's tough, right? Because when you finally reach someone, people are so busy in their day-to-day lives that they're not going to actually be able to, you send them a website or an email, they're busy with something else and they live tough lives as well. So with this, they're getting the information they need at the time that is relevant for them, and then they can convert.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So you said 30% with the quiz funnel, 30% of people actually like picked up, like you got a 30%.
Around 35% will
consult.
book a consult, and then of those 30 to 45% will
Actually,
become paying clients. The ultimate goal is that people who want help can find it,
Yeah.
and that we're getting the people who actually want help. And I think the landing page does a good job of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So quality is better, basically.
Yeah.
With the page. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. What is the conversion rate? Do you know? Because I think link clicks was like I don't know, 3.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
I think that the tough part with and this is where I don't look at the results too closely on Meta.
Yeah.
A big percentage of it is, who does Meta decide to show the ads to?
Mhm.
So that's why we don't internally obsess too much about. So for example, something might have a better cost per result because the ad was better or it was less expensive on Meta that day. So we just try to look more so on the front of, are the people who are landing on it, it's not a bad thing if someone who lands on it is turned away, if they weren't the kind of person who would benefit from our service in the first place. I think from our perspective, we're just looking at, are we capturing the people who would benefit from the service in a way that informs them to make a decision today, instead of continuing to perhaps delay the challenges that they're facing and addressing them? Because a lot of times you've been delaying something for 10 years. And so when you find something and they see a page and they realize, hey, if I don't fill out this form today, I might not see this again, or I might get busy. People want to help themselves. And so in a format like that, we just want the right people to opt in instead of the most people to opt in and spend too much time chasing them down.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you mind like showing your ads manager just so I can see the results?
Yeah, so the top one here is the website one, so the landing page. So you can see here, we're obviously still spending most of it between 3 of these on the quiz, but this is the results for the landing page. So we got 73 over the last like 2.5 weeks that we've been running this, maybe a bit over 3 now. So you can see it's like a little bit higher cost per result than the other ones. But again, I think the tough part with the quiz has always been that, the quiz is great. It really brings out the pain, but it does encourage people to fill it out with spam information sometimes. Like sometimes they'll give the proper email, but not their phone number. So we're just unable to contact them. So at least with the results we have from the landing page, everybody coming here knows what they're signing up for. So it's been good. I wish I had the adjusted cost per result, but yeah, that's the.
And the thing also is like right now you're planning to ramp up the spend too. So like over time, it's probably gonna fluctuate and it might even go down as it kind of gets used to it, right? Like
the thing with Meta is you just never know, but hopefully as we scale.
But I'm also just saying, I'm also just thinking actually, like even like we could probably optimize it further, like as time goes on too, right? To get the cost per lead down. Like it's expected that it would be higher right now, but the main thing was like the close rate is better and like the quality is good too. But like even we spoke about like moving the form like higher on the page.
Higher up on the page.
If we want more volume,
Yeah, because right now I think it's the conversion elements up, and then they have to scroll a little bit down to get to the form on the contact page at least.
Exactly.
So yeah, maybe we push that a little bit up as well.
Yeah.
But we'll hopefully keep playing around with it. So the thing is, you don't necessarily want to make something too easy, because then it just filters for people. You always are hoping for more leads because it makes you feel better, but ultimately the goal is to be able to help more people, right? And we can only do that by actually finding the people who want to opt in.
Exactly.
So not make it too easy, but also not too difficult.
Yeah, and main KPI should always be revenue. That's what I always tell people too, because they get obsessed over conversion rate. Because I always talk about conversion rate too, but it's like it's doesn't really make a difference if you're converting at like 30%, but 30% of people coming to the page and filling out a form, if like 29% are not good leads, right? You don't convert them. So it's better to have revenue as the KPI. Yeah. So,
revenue and people helped.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. So if you're still watching this right now, congrats, because this was a long one. In this video, you saw my complete process for building a landing page from scratch and how I'm actually doing this in my own agency, where we're building dozens of pages every single month across dozens of different industries. The point of this video was just to see my full process, and I didn't go over all of the full techniques that you need to use to get more leads, which is why I recorded this video right over here, where I go over the 32 absolute best, most important tricks and techniques that I've learned after making more than 400 plus pages and 80 plus niches that you can apply to your own landing page to immediately see a lift in your conversions. Those tips will definitely help you, so I'll see you over there in the next video.